God prescribed poison against you and made you to possess the iniquities of your own youth. Your sins came back onto you and into your bones. Your bones are full of the sin of your youth. It comes with taking the forbidden fruit. You're exchanging wealth for the noisome and grievous sword. When people say, well, can they repent? The answer is no. The robber shall prevail against him. The jinn shall take him by the heel. The unforgivable sin. You can't come back from that. He's digging them up. Remember, plucking up. This is assimilation and engrafting. You're being plucked up by the hand of God. Change the image. Change the glory, the covering, the cloud, to corruptible man after creeping things, chiefly after snakes. So it's the thing that turns you into a dragon. That's black goo. Touch not the unclean thing. Who is that? The ones that God called profane. And I will receive you. I will welcome and accept you, and will be a father unto you. And ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord. Bible tells us what shedding is, and it's not the whole vaccine. Remember, the mark of the beast is the current of his circuit, light, heat, and fire. This is the man of sin, son of perdition. The buy and sell refers to the so-called metaverse economy with the crypto mining in the body, and it's a conversion of the body into a den of thieves. It's hidden. Non-linear analog signals switching over to digital and AI binary signals. This is measurable. So something changed to the breath of life. You're no longer a living soul. You are now just a soul. The vaccinated are already dead. They're already dead. So this presentation is called Shot by God. In this presentation, I'm going to go through the main characters in the last days, the meaning of the shot of his poisonous arrows, the secret of the mark of the beast as his mark, the meaning of the net, also network, mesh, webbing, and spider's web, the meaning of the cloud, the meaning of shedding, which is actually defined by the Bible, the meaning of assimilation as an engrafting process into the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the meaning of the storm and the stormy tempest of desolation, the reference to the incurable disease and how that interrelates with the noisome and grievous sore, the cryptic meaning of the silver and gold in the body, the connection of the pulsating current to the force called the great force, and the connection to Leviathan, the meaning of the alien and dragon reference, the nature of the beast as Leviathan, everything pointing back to the secret about the unpardonable sin, the meaning of harmonics and the sound, the intricacies of the breath of life and the died suddenly phenomena, the acts of violence and psychosis, the meaning of the land of darkness, the great reset, and other things such as necrosis. So getting started here, assimilation, it means engrafting. How do we know that? Because there's many references in the Bible to this process and the plucking up of the person as though they are like a tree, being plucked up from the roots. You'll see this reference throughout the presentation, the tree references, and you also understand that throughout the Bible, there's references to the soul and the body and the person as a tree, and that's just a hidden meaning that many people don't know about. But long story short, if you look at the meaning of the word engraft, it means to cut into for the sake of inserting a scion. It means to inoculate and graft in. It also means to prick in. So assimilation is the equivalent of grafting in. And we know from Isaiah 66:17 that this tree in the midst is called a leader, connected to the leader of the God of Freemasonry. So it begins at inoculation. This is extremely important for people to understand. It begins at inoculation. When we talk about the assimilation process, it's something that means you've been touched by the hand of God, the power of God. You've been struck, smited, defeated. That's what he's doing. He's defeating you. So it begins at inoculation. So just keep that in mind as we go through this presentation. There's many characters in this storyline, so you can find yourself in these last days based on where you fit. But it's very clear who the upright are and who the innocent and righteous are and what they're doing. It's also clear who the wicked are, and the hypocrite, and the liar, and the physician is a character in these last days. You also understand God and his feelings about what's going on and what he's doing, his sovereignty in all of this. You'll get to know who the destroyer is. You'll get to know who the archers of God are, the king of terrors. Heaven and earth are a character in this drama that's unfolding. The dragon, corruption, the worm, alien, Leviathan, all of these are characters in this drama. And then there's some contextual characters related to who the Antichrist is, who the beasts of Revelation are, who the elect are, what's going on with them. The king of AI is part of this narrative. The horsemen, the four horsemen and their judgments. Cain, the connection to him, the twice dead, the smith, the harlot, legion, the remnant, and the owl. There's a meaning behind all of it. So if we kind of explore what just happened on earth was the hour of temptation. It was basically a replay of Genesis. And so what God told Adam in the beginning was that of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. The serpent lied to Eve and said, ye shall not surely die. God knows that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So you had all these public figures coming out very early on saying, you're not going to die if you take these shots. So what happened? Because God wasn't wrong in saying you would die. So now we have to figure out what was the mystery of what actually happened. So the fruit in this instance actually means the fruit of the serpent. This is going back to the fruit of the cockatrice out of the serpent's root in Isaiah 14:29. So you look at the word fruit, it actually does mean it is offspring, but it's of the serpent. And that's why the tree of knowledge of good and evil is connected to the serpent as well. Okay? That's your tree, that's the leader in Isaiah 66:17. In the midst of the Garden of Eden, you shall not eat. The word eat actually means burn up and devour by fire. It's invoking a ritualistic thing that happened. Neither shall you touch it. Remember, it wasn't just eating it, it was touching this thing that was a problem that invoked the response and the judgment. This apple picture here is symbolic, but it's replayed over and over again in Hollywood narratives. So now we have to understand what is the meaning of the apple, and I'll get to that. But when you touch it, this word touch actually means to be struck with a plague, to be stricken with disease, okay? So that's part of the exchange. What you're taking in, you're taking a plague, lest ye die. Very important, this word means necromancer and very suddenly. So it means you're gonna die very suddenly. It's not a normal kind of death. So what we've seen in the last few years of people dying suddenly is actually pointing us back to the forbidden fruit. It's a clue pointing us right back to the forbidden fruit. Okay? So necromancy is part of this. That's why I always write about the sleeping death. And this is about necromancy. This is about sorcery. And the other important thing is, here is what establishes infection. Infection is based on a plague. It's not based on the presence of microbots in the blood. That's why people are saying falsely that everyone's infected. That's not true. The plague You were struck with a plague in connection with taking the forbidden fruit. So now we got to understand what the forbidden fruit is. Okay? So the serpent says, ye shall not surely die, for God doth know in the day that you eat, and your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Let's break this down. So the phrase in the day actually means on the self same day. So it happened the same day. Okay? That necromancy happened immediately. Your eyes, in this sense, this is referring to your physical eyes. Okay? There's multiple meanings of the eye. And I'll also talk about the meaning of the apple. The apple of the eye is your pupil. It's called the little man in the Bible. And there's also a reference to the apple of God's eye, meaning he's going to keep his people as the apple of his eye, and they ought to keep his laws as the apple of their eye. So the meaning of the apple is a play on the lawlessness. Basically, if you take of this apple, you're disobeying God. It's huge rebellion. It's basically the exchange for the man of lawlessness into the body. That's the meaning of the apple. And your eye, your apple, your eye, your pupil enlarges. It turns everything dark. It magnifies darkness in you because you have a single eye. A lot of people call it the third eye. The Bible calls it the eyes of the mind. When that turns dark, your physical eyes darken as well. Your pupils enlarge, kind of like they would in demonic possession. But in this case, your light goes out. Boom. Just like that. Your light goes out, and yeah. So anyway, so it happened same day. So your physical eyes were open. So what does that mean? It means that you can see the things hidden from the eyes of mortals. That is why these individuals are reporting that they're seeing what we're calling the metaverse, but it ultimately in the Bible it's being chased out of the world from light into darkness. So they're literally seeing, they're just seeing a different world. Ye shall be is getting into the meaning of the fall and this symbolic resurrection. So you shall fall and arise and become, meaning follow, gods. It's a transformation, but it's also related to the beacon. So you see this reference, beacon. That's getting into the meaning of the eyes of the mind as well, which some people call pineal. The Bible calls it pineal. We'll talk about that. But so you're going to become as gods, mighty, mighty. The word knowing means seeing. Good means wealth. And evil means noisome and grievous, sore and marked. So there you go. In Genesis, this wasn't a simple taking of the apple. This was an exchange for wealth, to a huge rebellion against God, to basically of lawlessness, and to become mighty, to see things hidden from the eyes of mortals, to transform and go into a covenant with the devil in exchange for this noisome and grievous sore, mark. So again, when we simplify this and go back to what is the meaning of the spike protein, what were you signing up for? You were signing up to turn into a dragon. Whether you understand it or not, that was the meaning of the word spike. So we're going to get into that. And the mark as well. That's a mark. All right. Layered meaning of the eyes, physical eyes. So in the scripture that talks about your eyes shall be open, like what we just described, that's the word is ayin in Hebrew. That's your physical eyes. Okay. Those are the organ. Okay. But it also can mean between the eyes. So between your eyes, you have a memorial. It's supposed to be a sign, and a sign upon your hand and a memorial between your eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth. Okay, so that's the same word. But what that's saying again is that that's the meaning of your right hand and your forehead is getting into the sign of your allegiance and the memorial between your eyes of the law of God, the laws of God. Okay. So that's broken out in Deuteronomy and Habakkuk. I write about that. But that's why the meaning of the right hand and forehead is getting into the power of lawlessness, pointing to demonic possession. And I'll explain that. But right hand is getting to your right side. So that's what it's talking about. But it means lawlessness. The apple of the eye again is your little man, is your pupil. Keep me as the apple of the eye, hide me under the shadow of thy wings. The eyes of the mind, called the eye, is the lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, the whole body shall be full of light. So that's how you know that, how do you die suddenly? Boom, your light goes out. Your light goes out because the lamp of the body is the eye. So, so it's what enlightens you. So when you get enlightened with darkness, what the occult calls the illumination, Illuminati, which is what whistleblowers are saying, they feel illuminated. It's illuminated with darkness. So this is why, again, the conversation is not simply about DNA. It is about the blood. It is about the transformation. It's about the image of God, and it's about the changing of the glory, and particularly the change of that beacon. So we'll get into that a little more. So again, forehead, in terms of the mark of the beast, it's a word called metapon. It means the space between the eyes on the forehead. So that's a distinction for people when they're trying to figure out what does the right hand and forehead represent in terms of all of this. Okay. So the word Peniel is in the Bible. It is the meeting place with God. Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face and my life is preserved. It means facing God. It's where he could see, he could behold God. It was where he would meet with God. It's called a mark. It's a mark. So like with the mark of the beast, you're now seeing Satan. That's why many people have attested to that. They say, I can see Satan after the shot. That is not simply nanotech and biology. This is a high level witchcraft, sorcery. It's covenant with the devil. It goes right back to the tree of knowledge, good and evil, and the forbidden fruit. So this is why now you have this research coming out about the pathologist who warns that the mRNA vaccines are causing personality changes and that the pineal gland was completely destroyed. So what's the personality change? Their light went off. And I will explain in the book of Job what else is going on here. Okay, so again, Peniel means facing God, to turn toward, to face, behold, and mark. So this is the other meaning of the symbol of the caduceus, which isn't just about, it is about the spawn of dragons, which is the book of Job. Book of Job talks about that. But it's also pointing back to the pineal. So you see the pine cone image at the top of the caduceus, and you see the wings, right? So it's through that pineal, which is the pineal. It's the meeting place with God. And so again, the connotation is the sacrilegious blasphemy and the robbery of what makes your light go out, the robbery of the temple, and the destruction of the pineal. And yeah. So we talk about the beacon. It operates like a beacon, but again, here's a blown up image of what the pineal looks like. That area in the third ventricle of the brain. This is a fluid filled area with cells blown up, brain cells blown up to the size of a car. So your pineal is in that area, and above it is something that looks like a galaxy. So this is different in different people. The pineal is different in certain people. In some people, it operates like an organ, and other people operates like a gland. The organ piece of it is it can produce and excrete liquid. A gland can only excrete. So it's important for people to understand this stuff. All right, so here's the breath of life. Bible says that, oh, remember that my life is wind, and my eyes shall no more see good. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So what this is saying here, what Job is describing, is that he's talking about the breath of life. His eye, his physical eye, shall no more see good. So this is the transformation of the eye, of the mind, which affect the physical eyes. They're no longer going to see good. Why? Because you're seeing darkness now. So my life is wind. That's your breath. That's your breath of life. So something changed to the breath of life. I'll get into that. And so here you go, the breath of life. When God breathes into your nostrils the breath of life, that's what makes you a living soul. If something changes with your breath of life, you're no longer a living soul. You are now just a soul. So that goes back to the lights going out and the necromancy piece of this. You have people walking around, and that's why people call them former humans, because there's something happening that's not normal. They're not alive. And that's another reason why they can't perform their reasonable service. You can't even present yourself as a living sacrifice. So really the vaccinated are already dead. They're already dead. Reasonable service. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies as a living sacrifice. That means you have to be alive. That's your breath. That's your quickening, living water. Sacrifice is holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. That is what you're here to do. Your reason, meaning it's reasonable. It is reasonable to present yourself to God alive. People sometimes they get caught up on DNA and like, well, there's other things that radiation can change your DNA. Okay, but your reasonable service is to present yourself alive back to God. The breath of life that He gave and animated you with. You can't do that. You can't get the kingdom. You can't get the kingdom. You cannot go into covenant by taking the forbidden fruit and then get right to the tree of life. It's a wrap. I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. He cried, hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. Okay, so this is just getting into the meaning of the seal in the forehead, and that in your forehead you have a seal. You should have a seal. So the same concept of the mark. It's talking about who you belong to. If you have the mark of the beast in your forehead, that's an allegiance change. It's a transformation. If you have the seal of God, you belong to God. Okay? So the black goo is biblical. This was one of my major contributions to the conversation. It's biblical. I placed it at Isaiah 66:17, but also in Genesis as well. So here are some connotations with the black goo across media and even in the Bible as well. The forbidden fruit, as we discussed, related to the cockatrice in particular and the spawn of dragons agenda. Okay? Because out of the serpent's root comes forth the cockatrice, whose fruit is the fiery flying serpent. That's a dragon. Serpent seed, same serpent seed that's an enmity towards the seed of the woman. Abomination, the creeping vermin. That word is chiefly of snakes. So we're talking about snakes. You know, we're talking about creeping vermin and why you like all this stuff. It's all related. Corruption and plague. When Job says my father is corruption, he's pointing back to this black goo. The plague is pointing back to the forbidden fruit. That's the exchange. The venom and the poison. That's what black goo is. It is venom. It is poison. So you'll hear that come up. The poison of asps in the belly and the venom. You'll hear that come up. The potion and the black magic. This is how you can make a transformation of someone. It's through black magic and black goo sorcery. So it's important for people to understand. That's why I keep telling them the sleeping death, and lights went out right away. Okay, that's the Alice in Wonderland motif. So that again, these things make it distinct from anything else. Chemtrails, all this, none of that is equivalent to a black goo injection. The blood, it's called blood. In some cases, it's called the blood of the android. But again, android is one facet of the beast. The beast is part tech, part mammalian. It's something otherworldly. It's described as a dragon. Leviathan is a dragon. The multi-headed serpent, piercing serpent, crooked serpent. It's the same title for the devil. But yeah, so he has brass and iron as part of his nature. Part of his makeup is metals like that. So that's the android piece of this. But the next piece of this is exposing Leviathan. Black goo is called fire at zero gravity. And this is your necromancy piece because it's the fire that puts you to sleep. The fire that can put you to sleep. What does that mean? Lights go out. It's also called the devil. It's his will and his consciousness. It's like a word. In some storylines, it's referred to as ink, and so it can kind of it's like an imitation of God's word, and the red letter and all that is like the word of God. Christ is the word made flesh. So this black goo is like that too, and it's a shape shifting element for the devil. It's called the liquefied death. It's referred to as AI. It's programmable. Well, the graphene particular piece of it is. It's also referred to as semen and feces. So you'll see, but basically it's a whole bunch of nasty goo. Cannibal Class, Bury a Friend by Billie Eilish. When we all fall asleep, where do we go? The debt that I owe, I have to sell my soul, and I can't say no. Then my limbs all froze and my eyes won't close, and I can't say no. And this is referring to the cannibal class killing the sun. The sun is Christ. So these are the same cannibal class that killed the Christ. Okay, that's why in the Bible, the same ones who pierced him through will be pierced by Leviathan. So anyway, this is a black goo narrative, and they were put to sleep. Where do you go? You go to hell. You go to Sheol. The debt I owe, it means they accumulated debt and sin. They accumulated sin throughout their lives. So the hour of temptation was a climactic moment. You were either kept safe and delivered, or you were shot by God. That's the secret of the mark of the beast. My limbs froze, my eyes won't close. That's petrification. Cannibal class killing the sun. Bury a friend. So that's getting into people being buried alive. One, because they're being pronounced dead when they're actually, it's sorcery happening. And then the other piece of it is these murders happening and they're getting covered up. So we don't have a clue how many people have actually been murdered in the last several years. We just know these murders started in 2021 and they're not stopping. All right, so Pink Venom by Blackpink. Straight to your dome, shot that potion. I'm a flower with venom. After taking your soul, the fire that'll slowly put you to sleep. Like I said, black goo is fire at zero gravity, and it will put you to sleep slowly. Okay, so it takes your soul. This is the poison that God uses to take the soul. That's why people are saying they feel like they're losing their something is taking their soul, and it went straight to the head. Why? What's in the head? Your beacon. Your beacon. Okay, that's your forbidden fruit and your cursed tree. Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo, only a man of God could do what he did. He did this in like 2022 or so, where he called it the Antichrist of all products. He said there's something evil about these COVID shots. He says that there's an evil underlying frequency to the shot. He says it's not appropriate for use in human beings and that there's something wrong with these particular products. Okay? So that's again getting back into the sorcery. But the fact that he brought out the evil underlying frequency is something only a man of God could do. That takes a different level of spiritual discernment. And it's true. The mark of the beast is measurable. That's what God told me. And so this is getting confirmed. There's some great evidence, video evidence of a lot of energetic phenomena, radio frequencies, digital signals, many other electric, all this other stuff. But now there's also more research emerging about the measurable signal associated with the Bluetooth phenomenon. So we can get into that a little bit more. Okay, let's talk about the hour of temptation here. So the hour of temptation is this. God says that because you have kept the word of my patience, I will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Let's break that down. Thou hast kept means guarded. Patience means endured patiently and obeyed my command to persevere. Keep thee means keep thee safe and deliver thee. It was a type of deliverance. In some ways, you could say it was like a salvation. It was a type, it was a saving. The hour of temptation is a trial. It's a time of testing of integrity. It's an experiment and a piercing. The word temptation, the root word of that is piercing. It's a trial of the bodily condition and a temptation to sin. What happened that came upon the whole world that was an experiment of the bodily condition, a temptation to sin? Emphasis that the shots was a sin. You can't explain away sin in this. People are looking to point the finger at their doctor or someone else. No, it was a sin. Which sin? The unpardonable sin connected to the forbidden fruit. So it was a time of testing of integrity. So it was an integrity issue. If you took the shot, you were not supposed to take the shot. Okay? So that's what we just went through with the hour of temptation. To come upon, it means epi. So it's like an EpiPen. So it's a needle. It's going to come through a needle. To try, pierce. Who's the piercing serpent? Leviathan. Leviathan's the crooked serpent. Who's that? That's the devil. In the book of Job, there's a dynamic playing out between God and Satan. God is using Satan. And Satan is doing the part of this. God is doing the part related to the soul and the giving up of the soul. Satan is doing the part related to the plague. Okay, so just understand that. So this is called the Great Rebellion. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sits in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Okay, so let's break that down. This is a deceiving thing, just like in Genesis, deception. Why? Because the devil seduces and deceives. But it's still, he tempts you to sin. Okay? Let no man deceive you. Okay? There's a falling away. What's that called? It's a great rebellion. It's called the apostasy. It's called the abandonment of the faith by professed Christian. The abandonment of the faith by professed Christian. When did that happen? Christian church, abandon the faith. God is putting the onus back on all believers in this hour and saying that they abandoned the faith and they committed great rebellion and an apostasy. The man of sin is the man of lawlessness, and that is who we are seeing now. The son of perdition is the Antichrist. These are all interchangeable titles. So when people say who is the Antichrist, it's the one that is now in the temple of God. So that is getting into the body, the third temple as the body, as Christ confirmed in John 2:21. And it's also talking about the people as a whole, the body of Christ, and how it's affecting the body. So he's in the temple showing himself as God. The evidence of that is the murders going back to 2021. The doctor censured for hinting that vaccine-induced psychosis led to murder, and the evidence on the ground of that. And people literally coming on saying that a God told them to kill their children. It's a very serious matter. A lot of murders have been covered up, and that's really sad. So the Antichrist is here, people. So the book of Job is describing the fate of wicked men. So anybody who wants to understand the mark of the beast has to deal with the book of Job. You do, because that's going to tell us the nature of the beast. It's going to tell us the secret of the mark. It's going to tell us the particular things that the individuals are going to be experiencing. So I've called it assimilation, because it is this engrafting process, but it also involves the invasion of the body by the king of terrors, and all of this. It's a very complex process. But anyway, it's describing the fate of the wicked. So, oh, that my words were now written. Oh, that they were printed in a book. This is the portion of a wicked man with God, and the heritage of oppressors, which they shall receive of the Almighty. So portion means inheritance. So like I say, hour of temptation was a climactic moment, but it was an inheritance. It was something, it was a buildup of sin going back for generations, not just this one lifetime. So of the wicked, the guilty, and the condemned, oppressors, these are terrible ones, mighty, ruthless, violent, and fierce. They are going to receive it in the hand, take it in the hand of the Almighty. So you're talking about you're receiving the mark of the beast. Well, there's the meaning of that. It's coming from God. You're receiving his shot. Yeah, so deep. So the secret of the mark of the beast is that these are the arrows of the Almighty that drink up the spirit by poison. It's the terrors of God that set themselves in battle array against the person. So those are the arrows that take away the soul of the godless, heathen, hypocrites, and profane. These are all words used in that context. So it means that if you got shot by God, he made a decision to take the soul because you were godless in his view. You're a heathen, you're a hypocrite, you're profane. That's a huge word. That word profane is used for Lucifer. Yeah. He set them as a mark for the arrow to be shot with his poisonous arrows. That is the secret. You're a mark for the arrow. That's what it means. He set them up for his mark as a mark against him to count them as his enemy. So the secret of the mark of the beast is it's God's mark to set you as a mark against him and count you as his enemy. So that's why I say he's setting a battle line. Well, they were set a while ago, and we're just catching up to this, which is unfortunate because a lot of these murders have happened. So these images actually come from a lot of like media releases over the years, consistently since 2019 and the last 5 years. So that's this is the imagery they keep putting out in association with the COVID-19 vaccine. Ask yourself why. You're a mark for the arrow, a target. Let's break that down. For the arrows of God are within me. The poison whereof drinketh up my spirit. The terrors of God do set themselves in battle array against me. The word arrows means a piercer, invoking a dart or shaft wound. It's like a thunderbolt of God. It's a shot from a bow by hand. These are words. So it means it's a piercer. So it's not like other things. So it is something that's going to pierce through you like a shaft. Okay, so it's within me, and the poison whereof drinks up my spirit. So what kind of poison is this? This is venom. This is heat. This is rage. Okay, and the word bottles invokes like a potion. So it's not just getting a virus or some sickness. No, it's something that comes from a potion, and puts that kind of rage in you. Okay, so it drinks up your spirit. What is your spirit? It's your breath. It's the spirit that's supposed to depart at death. It's drinking you up in your mind. That's the brain fog. The terrors of God, these are evil spirits sent by God. And though people experience that immediately, set themselves in battle array against me. So, yeah, that's what it is. God at war with him. Here's his sovereignty in assimilation. The hand of in his hand is the soul of every living thing and the breath of all mankind. So if something's happening with the breath of life, it's a decision point by God. If something's happening with the soul, it's a decision point by God. These are his poisonous arrows. These are his archers. He's setting people up as a mark for the arrow. This is a setup. He's setting people up to take away the soul. He's calling them godless. He made the judgment call. We're just reading the script. He takes credit for the net. I'll explain in this presentation what the meaning of the net and the Great Reset actually is, because it actually means a trap. So it's his net. It's a trap of a spider's web, and this net is referred to as mesh and webbing. So he's taking the credit for the mark and setting them up as a mark against him and counting them as his enemy. He's running up on people as a giant and breaking them with breach upon breach. He's setting terrors in battle array against their soul. He's removing the candle light. He's removing his candle from you, and your light is being put out. That's why a lot of people feel like they switched off. He's setting darkness in their path. He's chasing the soul out of the world from light into darkness. He's cutting them down, kind of like how he did when we talk about the days of Noah. This is exactly what happened in the days of Noah. He cut them down out of time because they were walking the marked path. That's why I say that the mark has multiple levels of meaning. But the way that you're walking is also marked. So if you're walking in the way of Cain, which is a violent way, that's also marked. He's not taking the breath, he's filling them with bitterness. So a pro-vaccine doctor comes clean and says, we were fooled, the vaccines are poison. Okay? So this comes straight out the Bible. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. This actually means salt that has lost its strength and flavor. So you're talking about God's people. Then they're called the salt of the earth. They have now lost their strength and flavor because of this. So remember, this policy made the souls of the holy people abominable, which is a sample of the population. We're not talking about we're talking about the holy people. It made the souls of the holy people abominable. That was the purpose of the policy. It was to rob the temple of God, which is the collective of God's people. That's what it was really about. People say it was about depopulation. No, it was an attack on God's holy people. For the arrows of the Almighty are within me, the poison whereof drinks up my spirit. I think we already talked about that. But there you go, that's your poison. That's your poison. Vaccines are poison. So here's some of the language. This is how God does this. He's done it before. He has bent his bow and set me as a mark for the arrow. That's a target for the piercer. That comes out of Lamentations. I will shoot 3 arrows on the side thereof as though I shot at a mark. That word shot means divorce. Comes out of 1 Samuel. Okay? He's divorcing people. He's setting them against him. He's counting them as his enemy. Even Job says, why have you set me as a mark against you so that I am a burden to myself? Well, that word set me means ordained. This is a decision point by God. It's an executive decision. A mark is a thing hit, a target. Again, that word target is coming up again. A thing hit. I am a burden to myself. What does that mean? A doom, a tribute song. That is the meaning of the harmonics and the sound. The sounds that you're hearing, this is part of a tribute song, a lamentation for sin. But it gets deeper. Those who pierced him, behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. The clouds, that word is getting into the cloud that led the Israelites in the wilderness. So people are like, he's going to come up from the sun. Not necessarily. He's coming with the cloud that led the Israelites in the wilderness. And every eye shall see him. These are the eyes of the mind, not the physical eyes, the eyes of the mind. That's the eyes that are going to see him. They also which pierced him. This is dig through. Okay, so the same ones who pierced through him. All the kindreds of the earth shall wail. That's a lamentation because of him. Okay? So that day is going to be sad. They shall also look upon him whom they pierced. They shall look on him whom they pierced. So the same ones who pierced the Christ got pierced. They got pierced. This is retribution. How do we know that? Check this out here. 1 Timothy 6:10 says, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. Love of money means avarice. You'll see that word come up in media in connection to this. The root is the sprout and the shoot. So remember the serpent's root? When you're talking about why is the love of money the root of all evil? Well, out of the serpent's root comes forth cockatrices, and his fruit is a fiery flying serpent. That's a dragon. So Leviathan is in this whole thing. Leviathan is called wealth and riches in Babylon. So that's what Leviathan can promise you, is wealth and riches of Babylon. So out of the serpent's root is the wealth and riches of Leviathan. So the love of money is the root of all evil. That's why it goes hand in hand. When you're talking about Leviathan, you're talking about love of money. Okay? Which while some coveted after, meaning they gave themselves up. What does that mean? They gave up their soul. They gave up their soul because of love of Babylon and the wealth. You have to make that bargain, just like the forbidden fruit was a bargain, and it was in exchange for the soul in exchange for wealth. A lot of people don't understand that. They think it was just eating a fruit. No, it gets into something much deeper. Remember the apple of the eye? Yeah. So they have erred. That's their error. That was their sin. It was an egregious sin. They were seduced and led astray from faith. They pierced themselves through with many sorrows. Piercing. Penetration. Many sorrows. Accountability. So the meaning of a piercing is very, very powerful. It's not simple. It's not simple. We have an example in the book of Deuteronomy of what boring the ear through with an awl conveys. So when you do that, this scripture says, then thou shalt take an awl and thrust it through his ear unto the door, and he shall be thy servant forever. And also unto thy maidservant thou shalt do likewise. You would use an instrument, a boring instrument, and thrust it through the ear unto the door, and to make that person your servant forever. Okay? So thrust means cause them to receive it. So remember the word receive a lot. When you receive the mark of the beast, you're receiving a piercing. You're receiving his mark. And it means you're going to be a servant forever. So that's not just in that lifetime. That's everlasting. Okay? So this is also getting into who has always been a servant of the devil. This ritual of piercing and the shot, for a lot of people, it was their purpose in life. So again, so that's the meaning of piercing. To pierce is to defile. Cush begat Nimrod. He began. That word means to profane and pollute and defile himself, ritually or sexually. To wound, it means to bore through or pierce. It also means to play the flute or pipe, which a lot of people don't understand. Well, why? Well, remember when Pan's flute? That's the meaning of Pan's flute. When you're playing the flute and the pipe, your sound has changed. That's getting into the meaning of why the harmonics of this, and the beacon that changes tune, and I'll explain the harp and the organ. Okay, so it means to wound. Okay, to stain. It's connected to prostitute, like the harlot. To profane the name of God, to be slain, and to break one's word, to desecrate. So you're profaning the name of God. That's why he's casting this profane. You broke your word. Your reasonable service. You had to present yourself as a living sacrifice with his breath of life that he gave to you. You have broken your word, and you are now desecrated. To become a mighty one. So remember, in this exchange, you can become mighty. Why? Because you have wealth and you can see things that are hidden from the eyes of mortals. And you're also connected to this mind of the hive. The word champion. Okay? So God says, you shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. Let's break that down. Make means that you are literally permitting it. You're yielding to it. You are consecrating yourself and dedicating yourself. These things are rituals. People don't understand the significance of what they're doing. Yeah. So it delivered up. This is getting into the meaning of to fall and be resurrected. When you make a cutting, this is an incision. So again, this is a piercing. Like this movie poster shows, it draws blood, an incision in your flesh for the dead. Who is that? The creature. Those who worship the creature more than the creator. This is necromancy. Why would you worship the creature more than the creator? Well, in the quest for immortality, outside of God's commandments, because remember, the apple of the eye, you're supposed to keep the laws as the apple of your eye. When you take the forbidden fruit apple, it means you're going into covenant with the man of lawlessness. So the point is that you worship the creature more than the creator, just like in Romans chapter 1. Who is that? That's your corpse. That's your ghost. It's basically you saying, I'm going to go on the path of necromancy to achieve immortality rather than try to keep God's commandments and be obedient and make it to the tree of life. That's how deep this goes. So, cuttings in your flesh for the dead, the seat in the blood. That's conveying a different meaning as well. You're talking about DNA stuff. We're talking about there's a seat in the blood. Talk about mercy seat and things like that. So the point is that all of these rituals in allopathic healthcare and medical institution, whatever, it's getting into things about, rituals, necromancy and things like that. Print, what does the word print means? It means to pay wages, avenge, strike, shoot forth. This is your shot. What are you avenging? This is vengeance. We're talking about vengeance. Paying wages for debt. Remember, we talked about that at the beginning. Paying wages. Submitting and singing. That's a song. So what you're doing, there's a sound that goes with what you're doing because it's worship. In this case, worship of the devil. So these are marks, incisions, gashes, imprints upon you. Okay? The other meaning of the piercing is the inversion of how the Bible, the Word of God, which is quick and alive and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, can pierce and divide asunder the soul of the spirit. Okay, so like I said, the black goo is like the word of the devil. It has that property of the ink, the black ink. And it is sentient, it is alive. So it pierces, it can pierce through. So the reason how you accomplish baffle, maze, solve, and coagula, the separation of the spirit and the soul, how you accomplish this is through the piercing that can separate the soul and the spirit. So the reason why some people are experiencing what they feel like is a digital avatar is because there's been a separation of the spirit and the soul, and the spirit man is now caught up in this life wind and experiencing basically the force. It's experiencing things in the metaphysical, and so that's the reason. But there's no such thing as a digital version of yourself or avatar. Okay? That's another thing to cast down that lie too, because what happened is they're seeing things that are hidden from the eyes of mortal. Okay, a strike in the open sight. So this is another thing. When you look at this, it's like, when did this happen? It only happened one way. He striketh them as wicked men in the open sight of others, because they turned back from him and would not consider any of his ways. Okay, let's break this down. Striketh means to smite, vomit forth, and throw up. That's why in the Black Goo movie, they show it as a vomiting. Contagion, infection. The point of infection occurs with vomiting or in a shot. So again, it doesn't happen through aerosolization. So we got to cast down this lie. It happens through plague. How you pass a plague, it happens through high level disobedience and rebellion. Wicked men, who are those? Criminals. They're called criminals. That means they committed a crime. They're guilty of sin. Same language over and over again. Open sight of others. When did that happen? Around the world. It happened in the hour of temptation, the great rebellion, the apostasy, the revealing, the falling away, the revealing of the man of sin. They turned back. They rebelled. That's why he calls it the great rebellion. It was a revolt. They revolted. But you're only going to understand and appreciate that when you understand the meaning of the piercing and the forbidden fruit. They would not consider any of his ways. That means they were not behaved. That's talking about the lifetime before that hour and the inheritance before that as well. Any of his ways to the tree of life. What does that mean? Commandments. It's his laws. The thing that's the apple of the eye. And some of them are still saying there is no God. What does that tell you? Check this out. For thou writest bitter things against me, and make me to possess the iniquities of my youth. His bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. So the word writest means to prescribe. Bitter things is referring to poison and the venom of a serpent. Possessed means inherent and possession and thieves. Okay, so what are you saying? He's saying that God prescribed poison against you and made you to possession, the iniquities of your own youth. Your sins came back onto you. and into your bones. Your bones are full of the sin of your youth. That's why they're feeling a replay of the sins of their youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. See this image of the prescription? Those who got a shot got a written prescription for a shot. That's how deep this goes. They got a written prescription. So what's God doing? I was at ease, but he hath broken me asunder. He hath broken me asunder. That means he defeated you. He's dissolving you. He's causing you to cease. He's shattering you to bits. He's splitting you like glass. He's also taken me, seized me by the neck, and shaken me to pieces to disperse. Set me up for his marked prison. Talking about a prison. That's why I was sort of saying we're in a prison and being used for energy, and they are being fed from us. I'll tell you what they are. That's the NARS. That's in a later verse. Feet in the stocks. Behold, he findeth, discovers, occasions against me. That's enmity, alienation, breach of promise. They broke a promise. He counts me for his enemy, meaning he made a judgment. I keep telling you, this is the judgment call of God. His enemy, meaning he hates you. He doesn't do this to someone he loves. He hates you. But you broke your promise to him. He putteth, my feet in the stocks. Putteth, that's a nice word for saying laying violent hands. God's hands are on these people. He's choking them. He's destroying these people. He's putting their feet in the stocks, and he's marking their paths, watching and being on guard. So what does that mean? Again, the mark. The path is marked. And you're being watched by God. What's the Lord saying? That the soles of my feet are drawing life out of me. They try to make us feel guilty, to blame ourselves. So these are the same people saying there is no God. Or in some cases, they just won't repent. They're not serious. This is the imagery. Feet in the socks. This is what the whistleblowers draw. They say there's an inability to put their foot flat on the ground at night. When they get up in the morning, their foot is in this state. This is one person in particular. This is their particular experience. So there's major pain and stiffness. Bible says, thou puttest my feet in the stocks and lookest narrowly upon my paths, all my paths. Thou settest a print upon the heels of my feet. Print means a mark. It means an engraving mark, a circle and a limit. So that's getting into the electric field that you see that around the foot area. That will dig around the roots of my feet. What does that mean? He's digging around the roots of their feet. So if you see yourself as a tree, and off of your feet are roots, he's digging them up. Remember, plucking up. This is assimilation and engrafting. You're being plucked up by the hand of God. He's digging you up. That is why you'll see things like the aging and the thinning. Same thing if you take a plant and pull it up from its roots, it starts to wither. That's why you see this happening. The jinn shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. Who's the robber? Remember, sacrilegious blasphemy is robbery. So the robber is part of this. When people say, well, can they repent? The answer is no. The robber shall prevail against him. The jinn shall take him by the heel. There you go. All of it can be explained. His archers compass me round about. He cleaveth my reins asunder and doth not spare. Okay, so now you're going to get into the emotions of God here and how we can align ourselves with that. His archers, the ones who shot, this is getting into the white horses that ran. Compass, surround, they made a circuit. Remember, the mark of the beast is the current of his circuit, light, heat, and fire. His archers are making a circle here. They're surrounding the soul and cleaveth the rein. So what is that? They're cutting up, shredding, slicing, striking through. That's getting into piercing the kidney. He doesn't spare. He has no compassion, no pity. That's the kidneys. COVID-19 mRNA injections are linked to serious kidney injury. Where does that come from? Piercing of the kidneys. Heart. Peer-reviewed study links COVID-19 mRNA vaccination to fatal pulmonary hemorrhage 555 days post-injection. Okay? For God maketh my heart soft, and the Almighty troubleth me. What does this mean? Mollified my heart. Soft means faint, sick, and weak. He makes the heart faint, sick, and weak. The Almighty troubleth me, meaning it's causing palpitation. So Israel is saying it's unbearable to squeeze right below my breast, all the way to the middle, to the heart. It expands to the back, right under the left rib cage. So they're feeling those palpitations. Insurance data reveals U.S. mortality crisis persists. Mass COVID-19 vaccination likely to blame. Bible says, if any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple you are. Defile means to corrupt. Remember, the father is corruption, black goo is corruption, ruin, destroy. That means there is no comeback. People say, well, maybe they can do this, maybe they can do that. No, there's no restoration. They are ruined. Neglect the duties as a guardian. This is putting the onus back on the person. The sin that took place. What was it? They didn't keep charge of the tabernacle. Book of Numbers, chapter 18. They neglected the duties of the guardian as a guardian. They're supposed to keep charge of their tabernacle and not let a stranger nigh. Who's the stranger? That's the robber. Who's the robber? That's the Antichrist. That's what that is. And what's the crime? Sacrilegious blasphemy, which is what? The unforgivable sin. You can't come back from that. Any damage in the slightest degree. So the temple was holy. You can't put this thing in there to come to, you can't do that. I'll explain a little bit more the parallels to that. The temple of God, the holy place in the Holy of Holies, where the sacred edifice of the image of God was placed. Where is that? Well, you got the place of the skull. You got your right side of power. And you got the place of the skull. And this crossed over the blood-brain barrier. It changed the beacon. It changed all of this stuff. It changed the image. It changed the glory. The covering, the cloud, the corrupted into corruptible man chiefly after creeping things, chiefly after snakes. So it's the thing that turns you into a dragon. That's black goo. Abomination, desolation. So, him shall God destroy, cause to shrivel and wither. Why? Because you're being plucked up like a tree. You're going to shrivel and wither. For the temple of God is holy. So to be a saint means you have to be physically pure. Physically pure. In addition to alive. Shedding. Bible tells us what shedding is, and it's not the whole vaccine. New study finds concerning evidence of COVID-19 vaccine shedding affecting those in proximity to the COVID-19 vaccinated. It's giving people menstrual abnormalities. Okay, among other things like heart failure, clots, strokes, cancer, sudden death. Being around this is causing harm to God's people. He poureth out my gall upon the ground. Poureth out means to shed. So this is the meaning of shedding. What are you shedding? Liquid metal. Metals, casting metals. What else are you shedding? You're expending your own life or soul. That's why when you're around people, it's unlike anything you've ever experienced before, but they're expending their own life and soul. And the bitterness of their soul is falling upon the ground. So here you go, the rage from that. You're dying. A horrible death. Okay? So that's shedding. Shedding is not, so it's not accurate to say all unvaccinated are now vaccinated through aerosolization and inhalation. That's not true. They're getting metals, so you do need to chelate metals. Well, I should say, you need to do something about the metals, detox from the metals. But you need to also get away from each other because there is a difference, and we need to save whatever's left of the remnant. All right, major study confirms COVID vax cause side effects in unvaccinated people. This is shedding still. These are the side effects. Why? Because we're supposed to come out from among them. Come out, physically depart from among them, and be ye separate. Divide, exclude as disreputable, saith the Lord. And touch not. That means don't cling, have no carnal intercourse, do not cohabitate. Touch not the unclean thing. Who is that? The ones that God called profane. And I will receive you. I will welcome and accept you, and will be a father unto you. And ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord. All right? Be separate. Look at all these judgments. Red alert issued as scientists confirm COVID vaccines trigger deadly hemophilia. Millions of young vaccinated women in the U.S. now have early menopause. The doctors are baffled. Shocking new study finds catastrophic neurological and psychiatric damage from COVID vaccines. Japan confirms COVID vaccines cause turbo cancer. Top cardiologist testifies COVID vaccines cause death of children. Study of 85 million people confirms that the COVID vaccines cause a global surge in strokes, heart attacks, sudden death. Okay? So everything's going back to the COVID vaccines. Why? That's the abomination of desolation. How do we know that? 15th day and 9th month of Kislev, December 14th, 2020. That's what it corresponds to. Abomination of desolation, just like in the Greek captivity in the book of Maccabees, second Maccabees. It lays it all out. Same with the swine connection. They put swine, you call it DNA, in the shot. They put all this stuff, chimera. It was a chimeric shot. Black goo. So another reference to the forbidden fruit that died silently. Pregnant cop dies silently at 30, like someone turned a switch off. Remember all those people just dropping dead? That was at the beginning. This is a moving thing because it's a transformation. But remember, of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest ye die. Okay? So this is dead body necromancy. You're dying very suddenly. That's exactly what it means. Whistleblower says, I relate it with the COVID vaccines because it was just like a switch. I turned off and everything started to feel different. This is not normal. This is a switch. This is corresponding to what people are referring to as nonlinear analog signals switching over to digital and AI binary signals. This is measurable. This is measurable. Okay? Insomnia. Over 50% of COVID vaccine recipients develop chronic insomnia. This was in 2024. I am made to possess months of vanity. These are lies in the sense of desolation. So you're talking about the abomination of desolation. We're talking about the lies associated with the forbidden fruit and experiencing vanity. That's your metaverse and all that. And wearisome nights are appointed to me. Toil. When I lie down, I say, when shall I arise and the night be gone? And I am full of tossings to and fro until the dawning of the day. That's sleeplessness. Whistleblower says, we're hacked. We cannot sleep at night. Can't sleep. Many of them can't sleep. But why? Because they were made to possess months of vanity. Okay? A dreadful sound is in his ears. In prosperity, the destroyer shall come upon him. So this sound is dreadful. It's terrifying. It's the sound of a disaster. The destroyer, remember I said that's a character, is coming upon him. It means an invasion. So in the Bible, there's also a reference to when God is about to do a big thing, that people's ears will tingle. That is different from a dreadful sound. The whistleblowers describe it as a static noise, something that'll wake you up. It sounds like a zing. Hear it during the day. It's a frequency. It sounds like a rumble, a roar, a cyclone with the beat of the pulsing current. So that's very different. It's like a cyclone. Okay, so the word that people are using is tinnitus, but they're not here. It's not tinnitus what they're experiencing. It's much worse. It's something that'll wake you up. Okay? Nightmares and suicidal ideation. Then thou scarest me with dreams and terrify me through vision. So my soul chooses strangling and death rather than my life. So the visions are nightmares, and the strangling is suffocation and hanging. So you're choosing suicide because you're being scared. You're being afflicted. Psychiatric illnesses and horror-infused panic attacks explode after the Operation Warp Speed jabs were forced on tens of millions. Okay? Whistleblower says, this is why I'm so desperate to get this thing out of me. Between 2 to 4 a.m., there are tornadoes pulling out energy, giving me nightmares. I have really bad nightmares. Spirits and voices. Whistleblower says that the AI voice sounds like a whisper. Let's look at what Job is experiencing. He says that, now a thing was secretly brought to me, and my ear received a little, that means whisper. In the thoughts and the visions of the night, when deep sleep falleth on men, fear came upon me and trembling, which made all my bones to shake. Then a spirit passed before my face, and the hair of my flesh stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. An image was before my eyes, and there was silence, and I heard a voice. So this word image means phantom. Phantom. Rottenness. Doctors raise alarm as bone rotting disorder spreads among the COVID vax. Whisperer says, I can feel pain on my bones. So this is what Job experiences. He says, and he as a rotten thing consumeth as a garment that is moth-eaten. Rotten means ravaged of worms. So they have worms in them. Consumeth is decay. A garment that is moth-eaten means devoured by pestilence. So again, when we say infection, who's infected, it's getting into plague, it's getting into pestilence, it's getting into ravaged of worms. So people call it parasites, but it's really pestilence. So it's a plague. It comes with taking the forbidden fruit. You're exchanging wealth for the noisome and grievous sword. That's why the people who are going to have the noisome and grievous sword are the ones who are rebellious against God. They're the ones who have they're ravaged with worms. And that's what I believe we're going to see next. And some we're already seeing a little bit of it, but anyway. Bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. Your bones are full of sin. This is a powerful judgment. This is a climax and a finale. My bones are burned with heat. This is desolation. Again, abomination, desolation. So you see this overspreading of abominations affecting multiple parts of the body. Dryness, parching heat is what they're feeling. Rottenness, my breath is corrupt, and my days are extinct, and the graves are ready for me. This is the breath of your mouth. It's corrupted, it's spoiled and ruined. My days are extinct. When people talking about they can fix it, no, you can't. The days are extinct. The description of the odor is from people is that it's like a dead animal, rotten flesh, smell of death, a decomposing body, roadkill, putrid meat, strange and metallic, sharp and pungent, horrible, chemical, foul, and horrendous. I have smelled this off of people. And remember, with the shedding, they're shedding their life and their soul. And through the breath, it's like the smell of a decomposing body. Okay? Why? Because remember, with the necromancy of this, it's a slow death. It's a slow death. So their lights go off, and it's like they switch. But at the same time, they're still walking around. God knows how to reserve the wicked for the day of judgment. And that's what's happening. My breath is strange to my wife, though I entreat it for the children's sake of mine own body. What does that mean? My breath is strange, repulsive, and offensive. To my wife, I entreated. I am a stench. That's what the children are saying. You're stench. I've smelled this. But his flesh upon him shall have pain, and his soul within him shall mourn. Pain is a sore, and the mourning is a lamentation. Okay? What's the Lord saying? I've been crying a lot, been very depressed. I have extreme pain, joint pain, back pain, pain on the skull, chest pain, bloody, painful urination. The pains and suffering in the body is to make you do things. I was very disobedient at the beginning, but was put through so much pain and misery. I then broke and would obey it just to not feel the pain. It uses pain to control and enjoys my pain. So when he says that the pain is to make you do things, well, this is what I picked up on through supernatural discernment. They're under orders. They're under orders. Beast gets his 42 months to rule, and you're being told to do things. Study of 9 million reveals crisis of brain damage among COVID vaccinated. Job is saying, I'm full of confusion. He's talking about his affliction, being haunted, and the indignation of God upon him. This is wrath and spite. Changes in war are against me. You're feeling war. It numbs the senses, and with brain fog, I could not write a sentence. This is brain fog induced by, they call it brain damage, but it's getting into the drying up of the spirit of the mind. Chokehold. Whistleblower saying my throat is blocked. They're cutting my throat right now. I can't even speak. It's changing my tissue into plastic like Barbie dolls. My skin feels very different. Vax females are growing scales in their vagina. By the great force Of my disease is my garment changed. It bindeth me about as the collar of my coat. Okay, so this is the black goo. It changes you. This is called the force, the great force. What is this? This is a strong hands, power, vehemency, anger of an unclean reptile, a large lizard called a chameleon. Who is that? That's Leviathan. Wealth and riches. Who is that? Leviathan. Okay. What is Leviathan? He is a dragon, a multi-headed serpent, crooked serpent, the devil. Of my disease, that's in italics because it's pointing to this plague-like thing, is my God. But it's also talking about a metaphysical force. So you got to understand the force is metaphysical. Is my garment changed? What's the garment? Your skin, your covering. This is a scaly coat of a crocodile. Who's the crocodile? Leviathan. That's what we're talking about. Change, disguise, to conceal oneself. So you're not dealing with the same people. They're in disguise, concealing oneself. It binds me about, choking me as the collar of my coat. So this is real. Assimilation is true. Black goo assimilation changes. It changes the skin. So remember in Romans 1, how do you corrupt yourself? You change you corrupt the image of the incorruptible God into an image made to corruptible man. Okay? And to four-footed beasts and creeping things. And you change the glory. So how do you become a corruptible man? It's after the image of a snake, chiefly of snakes. That's your creeping things, your creeping vermin, abomination. But it's also, you corrupt the image and you change the glory. That's the covering. So how do we know this is the mark of the beast? Because it did two things. It corrupted the man into a snake, into a dragon, basically, Leviathan. And it changed the glory. So this is the concealing of the self. Chokehold. With a strong hand, God grabs my shirt. He grips me by the collar of my coat, and God has shrunk my skin, choking me to death. With a strong hand, God is choking them. He's choking them. So God is doing something, Satan's doing something. Basically, Satan gets right to the soul. Gyrotational seizures. He breaketh me with breach upon breach. He runneth upon me like a giant. He's charging them like a mighty warrior. Remember, they wanted to become mighty. God's charging them as a mighty warrior. I have sewed sackcloth upon my skin and have defiled my horn in the dust. Sackcloth in this instance means mesh. So we'll get into that stuff that's happening with the mesh in the skin. My horn means rays of light. So your light goes out. The candle is out. Your light is put out. Okay? It feels like my soul is getting raped. I've had something similar of just being on the ground shaking. It may have just been a seizure. This is a gyrotational seizure that we were seeing in the early years of right after the shots rolled out. But it's God charging them. And other people would say it's also it's a spirit that God sends into them, evil spirit. Eyelids. My face is foul with weeping, and on my eyelids is the shadow of death. So foul means troubled. Okay, your face is troubled with weeping, and on my eyelids is the shadow of death. That is deep darkness, characterizing the world of the dead, a deep shadow. So where are they going? They're going into the land of darkness. That's hell. The world of the dead. That's the bargain with necromancy. Okay? Whistleblower, there are shadows moving in the eyes. There's lenses in my eyes showing me images, showing me a universe. It happened in stages like storytelling, not overnight. It's the eye from the Lord of the Rings, the evil eye. This is just one example, one account. But remember, Lord of the Rings is that evil eye is getting into it's a version of Satan. They show the Black Goo version of Satan as well. He has multiple versions: the ruler and the shapeshifter, the man, the eye. There's another one, the Black Goo. So they're describing black mirror spots in the corners of the eyes, saying it happens in stages. Remember, this is a slow kill, slow death. Showing me a universe. So we call it metaverse, but we understand it to be the world of darkness, the land of darkness, characterizing the world of the dead. Shadows in the eyes. All right? Plucked up, uprooted tree. So this is the imagery of what it would be like to be uprooted, to be dug up from the roots and plucked up for the purpose of being assimilated into the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It feels like I'm levitating. That's what the whistleblower said. God is, he is fencing up, closing off my way that I cannot pass. He's doing this so you can't pass. Just like he, Adam and Eve, when they took the forbidden fruit, they were barred from the tree of life and they were guarded from it. They couldn't pass back in because the cherub, the flaming sword, guarded the way. So they cannot pass. He set darkness in my path. He stripped me of my glory, taking the crown from my head. Who did that? White horse judgment took the crown from people's heads because he has the crown. He has the bow and arrow. He has destroyed me on every side. That's the circuit, current of the circuit, with every side. I am gone. I'm gone. There's no second chance. My whole path he removed like a tree. So when we say assimilation, it's a plucking up. This is what it means. Uprooted, plucked up like a tree. Just like a tree. Boom. So that levitation is being plucked up. Aging and thinning. Megyn Kelly has come out publicly and said she developed an autoimmune disorder after the Pfizer vaccine. And she stated that she's never been more wrong about anything. And that's the number one thing she's been wrong about. And she said, I wish I hadn't done it, but I did. Okay. So here is a before and after picture of her. And you can clearly see the thinning particularly. And what, the makeup kind of makes it hard to see the aging. But a lot of people have described the aging that they're seeing. Thou hast filled me with wrinkles, which is a witness against me, and my leanness rising up in me beareth witness to my face. So this means to pluck and cut down. And again, another reference to the tree being filled with the wrinkles, because it was what happens when you get plucked up from your roots. You can't get the water anymore, which is a witness against me. My leanness, emaciation rising up in me bears witness to my face. That means recording. That's a record against you. My bone clings to my skin and to my flesh, and I have escaped death by the skin of my teeth. Why? Because it's a slow death. It's assimilation. Petrification. He will not suffer me to take my breath, but fills me with bitterness. So taking my breath means to draw in the spirit. He's not taking the breath. So what happens? He's loosed my cord and afflicted me, and they've also let loose the bridle before me. What does that mean? The cord is getting into a rope, kind of the same meaning of the silver cord in the Bible. That's not a New Age concept. Silver cord is in the Bible. Afflicted me. They have also let loose the bridle. That's the jaw, a jaw of a crocodile. Again, another Leviathan reference. So that's why some of the whisperers are saying that they're talking about the petrification of their nervous system, that they feel physically petrified. And one said that the thing in them has complete control of my jaw. My jaw feels detached. One of them went and got a jaw strap because they felt like their jaw is detached. To ask yourself, what is the purpose of that? Transformation into the image of you. So this is an image from a Black Goo storyline, Bury a Friend. So after taking the Black Goo injection, she experiences the petrification and is being taken over by a reptilian force. Cast into a net. He is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. Know now that God hath overthrown me, and he hath compassed me with his net. Therefore snares are round about thee, and sudden fear troubleth thee. So let's talk about that. The word net means network. This is not as simple as the internet, folks. This is getting into God's net, the mesh network and webbing. This is getting into the spider's web and the connection to hell and Sheol, the land of darkness, house of the spider. Know now that God hath overthrown me and hath compassed me. That means he struck off the skin, completing the circuit. So remember, the current of his circuit keeps coming up again and again, the circuit. He's striking off the skin. So that's another meaning of assimilation, changing the skin, and the garment is changed with his net. That's the network. So that is why they feel mesh in the skin, because they're feeling the mesh network, which is a part of the spider's web. They're being ensnared by the spider's web. All right, snares are round about thee in a circuit, and sudden fear troubleth thee. Whistleblower says they took our biofilm and put it on the internet, creating a network. You can feel its presence like a sensation. Something is there and they are communicating. This is the hive. This is part of the hive mind. This is part of the black goo effect. But it's not really the internet. Think bigger, metaphysical. Circuit of heaven, God, it's a thick clouds are a covering to God, a disguise. So remember that God is covered by a cloud. That's why when you change the image of God, you change the cloud, you change the covering. He seeth not, he walks in the circuit of heaven. That's a circle. Okay? So he's walking in the circuit of heaven. His going forth is from the end of heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. The circuit is a revolution, and the heat of the circuit is what they're experiencing, because they're getting connected to what he walks in to be chased out of the world. So they feel like radiation in the brain is terrible. Whole chunks of hair lost, bald spots. It feels hot. It's generating heat. Heat comes out with the pulsing. Skin burns at 3 a.m. in the morning. They feel like it's radiation. Their skin feels like it's microwaving. So they're using language that they understand. But what's actually happening, it's the heat of the circuit. Change of the family tree. Job says, I am a brother to dragons and a companion to owls. What does that mean? The word I am. Remember, God always calls it I am. What does this mean? I am become. This is getting into the fainting and the falling and the falling. This is the transformation, the resurrection in a way. This is the fall preceding the rise. Through the beacon. That's that pineal area. Face of the meeting place with God, the robbery, where the robber got in and took it, the Ark of the Covenant, he took that. At the beacon chain. I am a brother. That means you have the same family, same parents, or same father, same mother. To dragon. Who's the dragon? Your venomous snake. Who is that? That's the Satan. It's the devil, the serpent, sea monster, that's Leviathan, the dinosaur. He's a behemoth. He's unlike anything we've ever seen. A companion to our owls. What does that mean? Husband, lover, intimate friend. To who? The apple of the eye. So the king that would not regard women, the king of fierce, the king who would not regard women. Why? Because he's a companion to owls. What does that mean? You got the black goo making you dark, filling you up with darkness through the eyes of the mind that fill up the physical eyes and the pupil of the eyes and the apple of the eye. Then that's who you're intimate with. You're intimate with darkness. You're intimate with the man of sin. That's why Trump says he's the father of the vaccine. He calls the shot beautiful. He's using language of a lover. Yeah. So Whistleblower says that Satan looks like a snake and you can feel him like a devil. I hear it growl. It's not me. It's an entity. So they have been possessed by an entity. What's the entity? It's called the King of Terrors. What's the meaning of the owl in Freemasonry? It's getting into the apple of the eye. That's what that means. So they were always going for the apple of the eye, which is the little man, the pupil, to make it dark, illumination, to illuminate you with darkness. That's what that means. Through the black goo. So what are the upright people doing in the last days? The upright shall be astonished at this, and the innocent shall stir himself up against the hypocrite. And they that come after him shall be astonished at his day, as they that went before were affrighted. So the upright are the people who are righteous, just, and correct. Meaning, in hindsight, they did the right thing. They didn't take the shots. They're astonished. They're not just stunned at what's happening. They're appalled. You need to be stirred up. You need to be appalled at what's going on, because it was the worst offense against God. This is the unpardonable sin, sacrilegious blasphemy. The innocent shall stir himself up. Who's the innocent? Blameless, meaning free from punishment. You're not going through this. You're free from punishment. Stir himself up, raise up against the hypocrite. Who's the hypocrite? The one who got shot by God, who God called a hypocrite, a heathen, profane, the wicked. That's who he calls them. They that come up to him, a future generation, shall be astonished at his day, as they that went before, former generation, an ancient, were affrighted. So he's talking about, like, this is getting things that cross time. The former generation, the ancient times, were frightened, just like they are now. In a future generation that's to come, astonished. Because remember, Babylon's going to become a hissing and a dwelling place for dragons. So, so this is going to turn into something much worse. We're at the forefront of this. This is a nurse who put out a video saying it's astonishing what's happening. She talked about the turbo cancer out of control. She talked about heart issues post-vaccines, the kidney issues, diabetes, pneumonia, skin issues, eye bleeding, strokes, sores, wounds, and death. These are judgments being poured out. All right. Let's keep going here. Astonishment. So remember I said heaven and earth is a character in this storyline. Bible says that Job is saying here, mark me and be astonished and lay your hand upon my mouth in shock. So mark means look at me, be astonished. This is be appalled, be stunned, lay your hand upon your mouth in shock. The pillars of heaven tremble and are astonished at his reproof. So what Job is saying is that when you see him and what he's going through, the fate of wicked men, experienced by a righteous man named Job, just for the purpose of being written in a book, it's that when you see him, what's happening, you're going to be astonished and appalled and stunned. You're going to be in shock. And so the pillars of heaven as well will be trembling and astonished at his reproof. This is a rebuke. This is all pointing back to the unpardonable sin. There's a judgment for this. People who thought God wasn't real, they forgot him. They abandoned the faith. They're experiencing a judgment for this. Because of how egregious this is equivalent to partaking in the forbidden fruit. Okay? The original sin. Black goo. So pillars of heaven are the standing columns, and columns supporting the sky, a very high mountain. So, yeah. Earth is watching this and astonished. It's going to get worse from here, folks. Heaven and earth. The heavens shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. Who? The wicked. So what's the iniquity? It's a guilt. It's sin. Singular. Which one? The unpardonable sin. Sacrilegious blasphemy. The worst offense against God. The thing that causes him to choke you, chase you out of the world, count you as his enemy, strike you in open sight of others. Those things. Earth shall rise up against him and avenge itself. All right? So heaven and earth is on God's side in this. So it's your job to be on the side of heaven and earth and God as well. You have to take that attitude. Why? Because of how bad this was. This is an image of, again, remember COVID-19 vaccines are, like the outcomes are similar across the board, no matter if it was Pfizer and Moderna mRNA shots or the AstraZeneca, the other shots, Novavax, all these, they all fall under the umbrella of COVID-19, 19AI. And this is an AstraZeneca testimony, said they killed God. I can't feel God. My soul is dead. And they developed neurological problems. Ultimately, what's happening in the Bible, in Job, what he experiences is that the light was put out. So it's saying that the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. Okay? So the light shall be darkened, his tabernacle, and his candle shall be put out with him. So how oft is the candle of the wicked put out, and how oft cometh their destruction upon them? God distributes sorrows in his anger. So God is angry. He's distributing sorrows. That's why people are experiencing this slightly differently, and at a different timing. But the light of the wicked is being put out. The spark of his fire shall not shine. So the light was put out. Yep. Dolly sings Jolene while getting the COVID vaccine. So she's kind of like America's sweetheart. Right? That's how they marketed her over her lifetime. And she's singing her greatest hit, one of her greatest hits that made her rich. So the irony of it, God in the Bible is saying that here is the dialogue and what the mentality of the people who did this. It's saying, what is the Almighty that we should serve him? What profit should we have if we pray unto him? They say, what advantage will it be? And what profit shall I have if I be cleansed from my sin? So they're tying profit to, what advantage is it to repent or to not sin, to be cleansed? What advantage is it? So this is tied back to the irony of the word prophet is also getting into the love of money and the root of all evil. And so the prophet that they're actually going for is the prophet of Babylon connected to Leviathan, rather than the prophet of God to be cleansed from sin. So, yeah, again, it's pointing back to sin and a particular sin. Thy counsel, steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. So this is all the same narrative. So how did that happen? Well, it happened with people saying, reasoning in their head, basically reasoning that that the vaccines were good for them, that the vaccines was a good idea, when it wasn't. It wasn't a good idea. And their own feet. So the outer garment, I put on righteousness and it clothed me. My judgment was as a robe and diadem. So clothe means to put on a garment. My judgment, okay? So your garment is connected to your judgment. And if you have a robe and a diadem, that's it's supposed to be a godly garment and a royal attire. That's what clothes you. It means you have righteousness on you. But if he's stripping you of that, God strips you of your glory and took the crown from the head. Who did that? The white horseman judgment. Strip means invaded and rushed. Remember God rushing them. He invaded them. The glory is the splendor, the honor, and the glory of God. He stripped that. That's gone. That's nakedness. Took the crown from my head. So here's the meaning of naked and ashamed. Hell is naked before him, and its destruction hath no covering. Hell is Sheol. This is another word for this. Naked, bare before him. So this is what they're seeing. They're seeing Sheol. They're seeing hell. Just remember, they're being chased out of the world from light into darkness. And their eyes are failing, and they're seeing no more good. Destruction hath no covering. So that's Abaddon. Ruin hath no covering, no veil. There's no veil. There's no veil. The veil was lifted, so they're going into hell. They that hate thee shall be clothed with shame, and the dwelling place of the wicked shall come to nothing. So your clothing, instead of it being righteousness, is now shame. So that's the meaning of naked and ashamed. It means you're going into hell and you've lost your glory. So this is getting into Babylon as a whole as well. And that's the meaning in the music video called Parasite Eve of the highway to hell. It's through the shot. The robber swalloweth up their substance, and the jinn shall take him by the hill, and the robber shall prevail against him. So this is the meaning of sacrilegious blasphemy as the unpardonable sin. It's a robber that swallows up the substance, their strength and their might. You let the Antichrist into your body, and it robs you. So the jinn, this is an agent of calamity, who lays a net and a snare, shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. Okay? So this is what's going to happen. And that's final. The robber will prevail. And who is this robber? If he beget a son that is a robber, a shedder of blood, and that doeth the like of any one of these things. This comes out of a different book, Ezekiel. But it's telling you the connection between the robber and the shedder of blood. A robber, even in other storylines in like the book of Maccabees, the robber or the person who robbed the temple was connected to the person who was a traitor. And they wanted to spill blood. So this kind of viciousness against something holy, it occurs with bloodshed. And that's the way of Cain. So the robber is a destroyer. It's a violent person. It's a murderer. That's what that means, murderer. And a shedder of blood, to spill out and pour out blood. So that's why we're seeing the violence associated with people who did this. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up another way, the same is a thief and a robber. That means arising and ascending. Remember that language of the anointed cherub? He wanted to ascend and be like God and show himself as God. So he's coming up a different way. He's getting in through Trojan horse method and ascending and to show himself as a God in the temple, most holy place. And he'll be on the wing of a temple. He'll be on a wing and the abomination. Okay. This is a thief and a robber. So that spirit is the spirit of Barabbas. They all cried again, saying, "Not this man, but Barabbas." Barabbas was a robber. He was an insurrectionist murderer, and he was traded out for the Christ when Christ was sent up for crucifixion. So his first name is Jesus. So the actual Christ that the lawless Christian church is worshiping is Barabbas. That's the spirit that they're worshiping. It's a robber. That's why all of them, the majority of the Christian church went towards sacrilegious blasphemy and the forbidden fruit. It was the spirit that's in it. And then in terms of the people keeping laws or trying to, there was a deception there about the false Christ, and the elect would be deceived. That's written in the script. So it's a very tragic thing that has happened. But on the good side, we've got the innocent characters in this. These are people who are delivered by the pureness of their own hands. Again, merit in a judgment called by God. God says he shall deliver, meaning to let them escape and preserve the innocent man. He's delivered by the pureness and cleanness of their own hands. That means you're not killing people. You don't have blood in your hands. You're not going the way of Cain. So these last days is all about merit. The righteous shall hold on his way. Keep moving forward. He that hath clean hands shall be stronger and stronger. Okay? So you're going to get stronger and stronger. The last few years has been very hard. Abusive, in fact, but the righteous will get stronger and stronger. Okay? Alright, so let's talk about the sweet wicked. This is another character in this. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue, though he spare it, and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth. So a liar is very sweet, but they're wicked. So it's important for people to understand that. So it's getting into the seduction of the lie, or every lie out there, and just always recognizing that sometimes a person can present themselves as a Christian and be sweet, but they're telling you a sweet lie, and that wickedness is. So one of those sweet lies is that you don't have to keep commandments. That's a sweet lie. Another sweet lie is that God didn't actually say you don't have to eat the fruit and that you're not actually going to die. Yeah. Judgment in his gut. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired, because he did not know his judgment in his gut, and by his lust he will not escape. Okay? So the belly, this is the womb, depth of Sheol. This is getting in the connection to hell, right? So he's not going to feel quietness in his belly. This is the image that the whistleblower sent me of what the pulsating current feels like. There's something happening in the belly. So this is called the judgment in the gut. Why? Because your gut is called a womb. And if you're trying to bring something through from another world into this world, such as from hell, where the Antichrist is from perdition, into this world, you're doing it through the womb, just like you bring through another person, a soul, through a matrix. So the judgment's in the gut. And he shall not feel quietness in his belly because of his greed. Okay, he shall not save of that which he desired, the treasure. So there's no point on doing this, because you're not even going to receive the treasure that you went after. But you're going to get a judgment in the gut. Okay. Alien breaking. Studies confirm mRNA injections cross the placenta and reach the fetus. Okay. So black-eyed babies, apparently it was a phenomenon, which I wouldn't be surprised, because they're getting into the meaning of the eyes turning black, right? He hath put my brethren far from me, and my acquaintance are verily estranged from me. My kinsfolk has failed, and my familiar friends have forgotten me. They that dwell in mine house and my maids count me for a stranger, and I am an alien in their sight. Okay? So the word alien is used, but what does it mean? It means you're being estranged. You are now part of this dragon family tree, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You are estranged from your own acquaintances and your brethren, your family. You're being counted as a stranger. Okay? So this is happening, and this is affecting the seed as well. This is why God has to deal with this, because he cares a lot about the seed. So the fact that this is now crossing over to the placenta, reaching the fetus, and having effects on the next generation means he's got to send the flood now. But it won't be like the flood in Noah's days. It's going to be a different kind of storm. All right. Did he not make one? Yet he had the residue of the Spirit, and wherefore one, that he might seek a godly seed. This means child, descendants, and godly offspring, being born again, not of corruptible, perishable, and decaying seed, but of incorruptible by the word of God, which lives and abides forever. Okay, so this is talking about the importance of the godly seed, right? So that's what God seeks after. When it's all said and done, when you look at all the reasons for all the order that God establishes, it's because he's seeking a godly seed. And that's the reason for the covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the promises made to his seed and descendants. So to be born again, you have to not be of corruptible seed. Your father cannot be corruption. Can't be decaying and perishing. You have to be of incorruptible seed of the word of God. You can't have the man of lawlessness within you. All right? Sensors study COVID shots permanently altered the DNA of the vaccine offspring. Major birth abnormalities surge among COVID vaccinated mothers. This is a disaster of biblical proportions, and it has to be addressed with finality. Here's another reference to the black goo. Why black goo is called feces in some storylines. God says that if you will not hear, meaning listen to me, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessing. Yeah, I have cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart. Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces, and one shall take you away with it. This is in the book of Malachi. But a couple takeaways from this is that God is saying that he's going to curse. He's going to send a curse. So when you are affected by this black goo feces, you are a curse. And when you are a curse, you curse everyone around you. Now, he says, I've cursed you already. Again, like when people say sometimes like, well, there's mercy, there's grace, there's this, there's that, there's time. No, God says, I've already done it. I've already done it. When he gets angry like that, he's saying, no, I'm going to do it. I'm doing it now. I will corrupt your seed. So you talk about how did that happen? He's doing a lot of it. Again, this is the sovereignty of God, and that's where it gets more complex. He's saying, I will corrupt your seed. So you talking about how did this happen? Same way. He's sending strong delusion so that people will believe a lie, so you can damn them. He's doing that. He's corrupting the seed. He's spreading dung on the faces. This is fecal matter, feces, excrements. This is the image in the Matrix where the Smith, his face is covered with dung. And one shall take you away with it. The one, that means that's the one, same reference in Isaiah 66:17, the leader. And shall take you. That means NASA. That's the meaning of NASA, right? To take up, lift up, be exalted, because you wanted to be exalted, right? Well, you're going to be lifted up with Lucifer, basically, and be taken away. That's what it means. And the meaning of NASA, it's a play on that deception. So here's I forgot the name of the person, but he said years ago that in the Pfizer contract that it states that we're not responsible for any side effects. If you turn into a crocodile, it's your problem. So he came out, I think he's like the Brazilian president or something. He said that the vaccines turn you into a crocodile. I think a lot of people thought that was crazy. There's truth to that though, because the force in the book of Job is pointing back to black goo, and that is of Leviathan, who's also called a crocodile. So this is why they are having biological changes. Why? Because they're turning into the image of the beast. Who's the beast? Leviathan. What's Leviathan? He's the devil, multi-headed serpent, part tech, part mammalian. So here's another thing that the Job experienced, or this is the part of the assimilation. He shall be driven from light into darkness and chased out of the world. Okay, so they're going out of the world, and it feels like the metaverse, but it's not. I loathe it. I will not live always. Let me alone, for my days are vanity. They're experiencing vanity, so this is a slow death. They're experiencing the wealth of Babylon. They're made to feel amazing. If he cut off and shut up or gather together, then who can hinder him? For he knoweth vain men, he seeks wickedness. It means they're experiencing vanity because they're vain. They chose wealth in exchange for the noisome and grievous sore, and a wealth that they're not even going to be able to hold on to. So they're being cut off. Meta announces the WEF will have a leadership role in the metaverse. Klaus Schwab has stepped down. Metaverse is associated with the tokens. So in Book of Job it says, Where are the dwelling places of the wicked? Have you not asked them that go by the way? Do you not know their tokens, that the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction? They should be brought forth to the day of wrath. Okay, so they're tokens. These are metaverse tokens. This is their love of money, the silver and gold in the veins. And why the radio frequency is associated with the mining of crypto in the body. This is getting back into the sin of Achan and the battle of AI, and who he hid silver and gold in his tent. The tent is another name for like your body in the modern era. So it's being hidden. And again, the wicked are reserved to the day of judgment. They're gonna be here, but they are mining crypto. Here we go, mining. Surely there is a vein for the silver where it is mined, and a place for gold where they refine it. Okay, so this is in the book of Job. So what does that mean? A vein, that's in your body. That's in your body. If I have made gold my hope, or have said to the fine gold, thou art my confidence, meaning your security, then this is an iniquity to be punished by the judge, for I have denied the God that is above. God is saying that if you put your trust, your confidence, and your security into gold, and you made that your hope, then that is an iniquity that is to be punished by the judge. It means that you denied the God that is above. So when you go into this bargain for wealth, the love of money, in exchange for your soul, then you have denied God that is above, and you are worthy of punishment. My heart, this is also happening to Job. My heart also is turned to mourning, and my organ into the voice of them that weep. Let's break this down, very important. My harp is referring to the signal, also a token. This is your beacon. This is pointing back to the beacon. It's turned to mourning. What does that mean? Summoning the dead in order to avenge and pay wages. So remember, we're going right back to the meaning of the piercing as paying wages for sins and debt, but also a vengeance. This is a wrath that's involved. The vengeance of what? Avenging things that happened during the days of Noah. It's vengeance. My organ breathing into the voice of them, the hissing of the serpent that weep, to a lament and call for the dead. This is really important. This is saying that in this corruption, this necromancy involves the hissing of a serpent and the calling for the dead. And that is why some people have discerned this, the hissing and the hissing and the signal. That's part of why there's all these signals. But what are they doing? They're summoning the dead. They're calling for the dead. This is the meaning of the lighting of the beacon ceremony. It looks like the triple helix, going up to a tree of knowledge of good and evil, and the summoning of legion. You're Lucifer summoning legion. So when the robber gets into the body, he's summoning legion. That's the meaning of the swine in the body too, because it's a place for legion, and it's also an altar sacrifice unto the new God in the rededicated temple. So yeah, there's a lot of this is a big deal. This is what makes these people dangerous, because they're calling for the dead. And this is just a transformation, because they don't have right to their tabernacle anymore. Another dynamic playing out in the book of Job. Ye are forgers of lies. You're all physicians of no value. Oh, that you would altogether hold your peace, and it should be your wisdom. They need to be quiet. Bible says, shut up. He's saying all of them are of no value. What are they all doing? They're all saying that they can cure this. They're exalting themselves. They're setting themselves as equals to God or better, saying that they can fix this. You can't fix this. This is abomination, desolation. You are of no value, and you're forging lies. Everybody needs to understand that people are lying in this process. They are lying, meaning that they know that they're telling lies. You'll figure it out. Watch what they do. The job of the church is to tell them, hold your peace. It should be your wisdom. Here's another thing that we should know about the title, right? They don't deserve this title. This belongs to Christ. Be ye not called doctor, for one is your teacher, and ye are all brothers. Don't you assume that title, for you have but one doctor, who is the Christ. As for you, you are all brethren alike. That means the title doctor belongs to Christ. Okay? No one should be calling themselves doctor because they're trying to imitate Christ. They're playing the role. You shouldn't even be using the title. I don't use that title. If I can help it anymore, I try not to use that title anymore for anyone because it belongs to Christ. There's a reason for that, folks. It's a coveted title in our society for PhDs, for MDs, for doctors of the law, doctors of dentistry. It's honorable. So yeah, it's misused and abused. But what's God doing? God disappoints the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He takes the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. Okay? This is witchcraft. This is the meaning of Baphomet, solvum coagula. He's taking the crafty in their own craftiness. So it's witchcraft. He's taking them in their own witchcraft. So again, his sovereignty in this is paramount. Another thing that's happening to the Job in this process is that the meat in his bowels is turned. It is the gall of asps within him. He has swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. God shall cast them out of his belly, and he shall suck the poison of asps. The viper's tongue shall slay him. My bowels boiled and rested not in the days of affliction prevented me. Okay, so a lot of language here, but ultimately this is getting into serpent. An asp is a serpent. Okay. This is the poison of serpents because you have the king of terrors in you. You have a viper in you. So they're sucking on the poison of asps. And by the way, anti-parasitics aren't going to fix this. Anti-parasitics won't fix this. Yale scientists link COVID vaccines to alarming new syndrome causing distinct biological changes. There was a coverage of venom duct glands being formed. Well, this is all evidence of changing into the image of the beast, which is after Leviathan, a serpent. All right. What's their fate? Viper's tongue shall slay him. The tongue. Remember that. The tongue shall slay him. All right. Great reset. Let's talk about the great reset. The meaning of the word net. It means reset. He is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walks upon a snare. The jinn shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. That net is the reset. So the great reset is the net, great trap of God. Okay, so this is a net. This is pointing back to the spider's web, connection to Sheol and hell. It is a net, which is also a network for catching. It's a net of judgment, of leaders leading people to sin. It's a trap for man. It's a net as though catching animals, right? You talk about the network. People call it the internet of bodies. Well, Bible calls it a network and God's net. Leaders leading people to sin. So that's getting into, you say, why didn't the Christian church point people? Well, here's the truth. They were supposed to. They were supposed to. They were supposed to lead people into sin. Because if people didn't leave the church by then, come out of the idolatry of that, and be willing to keep God's commands, then they were going to be led to sin through this trap. That's fascinating. Eviction. He shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors. It shall dwell in his tabernacle, because it is not a pit. Brimstone shall be scattered upon his habitation. This also means that those sinners are dragged from the safety of their tents to die a gruesome death. So we're talking about your house, your body, your tabernacle, your temple. So you're being rooted out. That's an eviction. You're being brought to the king of terrors. Who's that? That's a viper in flame. This is dwelling in your body now. It's no longer yours. This is possession, demonic possession, not the kind that can be prayed and fast away. Unpardonable sin. Brimstone shall be scattered upon his habitation. Hell and brimstone. Okay? That's hellfire from the son of perdition. He's coming into the body. Those sinners are dragged from the safety of their tents to die a gruesome death. So again, sin. You sinned. That's what that means. Clearly something's happening in the body. He is torn from the security of his tent and marched off to the king of terrors. This is just another translation. His tent is set on fire, and his life is consumed by a viper. Okay? All darkness shall be hid in his secret places. And a fire not blown shall consume him. Who's that? That's the smith. A fire not blown. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. Okay, so you're being full of dark. You're filled with darkness. Why? Because the lamp of your body is the eye, and the eye is now dark. So you're full of darkness. So this is an example of the fiery viper. It's more like the spirit of it, that you actually have an entity in the body called the thing. They are torn from the security of their homes and brought down to the king of terrors. This is just another translation. The homes of the wicked will burn down. Burning sulfur rains on their houses, and their roots will dry up, and their branches will wither. So again, that's your Smith character. Burning sulfur is brimstone. This is the man of sin, son of perdition. And so their roots will dry up and their branches will wither. Okay, so this is the plucking up, the assimilation, the engrafting, being uprooted from the roots, branches withering. The Matrix, he describes it as a rotting carcass. Nothing this week is meant to survive. He's talking about the body. So the person is experiencing a slow death while the man of sin is taking over. Burning sulfur, by the way, is part of why you smell the necrotic smells. You're dealing with someone who is already dead and decomposing and rotting from the inside. They're experiencing a slow death and the vanity of their mind, but they were put to sleep immediately by fire and the black goo potion. And they switched off, but they're still experiencing a slow death and being taken over. So it's a process of how the abomination desolation sets up. Mind uploading in the digital avatar is just the effect of the poison drinking up the spirit, causing it to be rooted out of the tabernacle and inhabited by the king of terrors, viper. God does not take the breath, but looses the cord to afflict them, and their soul is overthrown and encompassed with his net. Metaphysical spider's web. Thou lifts me up to the wind and causes me to ride upon it and dissolves my substance. If you think about your spirit man and in your soul, when it's evicted and rooted out, this is what it kind of looks like. And once you're dissolved in the wind, all that's left is going to be a body and a soul inhabited by a viper. This is how you go from a living soul to a soul. You're no longer alive. You're going to be dissolved. This is what is going to happen to these people in the assimilation process. But why? God tells us that they said unto God, depart from us, go away, leave us alone, for we desire not the knowledge of thy ways. The Lord shall say, I tell you, I know you not whence you are. Depart from me, all you workers of iniquity. So God is going to respond to people with, depart from me, all you workers of iniquity. But it's because they said to him, depart from us. So this is all merit. What are the righteous and innocent going to be doing? The righteous see it and are glad, and the innocent laugh them to scorn. Why? Well, it's a great finale. It's the climactic event. It's to scorn, meaning that they're getting their righteous judgment. And the other piece of it is the persecution that the righteous went through. It is a worthy judgment. And if you've been persecuted enough, you'll understand. If you haven't been persecuted enough, you may not understand. Okay, guys, so again, I am an alien. I'm counted as a stranger. I'm an alien in their sight. Remember La Quinta Columnist that talked about an alien invasion and demonic possession? Yeah, this is what we're talking about. Have pity on me, oh my friends, for the hand of God hath touched me. So this is what it means in assimilation. Hand of God hath touched you. Personalities are altered drastically. Yeah, they don't recognize you. They don't understand you. They've changed. Now, man's science is saying it's due to brain damage. The Bible says it's because the hand of God has touched you and you're being evicted and King of Terror is taking over the body and blah, blah, blah. Gnashing of teeth. This is part of the fate of wicked men. He tears me in his wrath who hates me. He gnashes upon me with his teeth. My enemy sharpens his eyes upon me, and they have gaped upon me with their mouth. Smitten me upon the cheek reproachfully and gathered themselves together against me. God has delivered me to the ungodly and turned me over into the hands of the wicked. So the fate of wicked men is the weeping and gnashing of teeth. So it should not happen. If you're righteous and innocent, you shouldn't be experiencing this. You shouldn't go, so you don't have to worry about all that in the future. Again, Leviathan is the dragon. He's the multi-headed serpent called the piercing serpent. So the hour of temptation, which is the hour of piercing, is happening through Leviathan. He's a dragon. We've never seen anything like, I don't know like a great depiction of him, but he's the beast of the sea in Revelation. He has a petrification ability, like the Bible calls it. He takes something with his eyes. That's your basilisk connotation, the petrification. Part tech, part mammalian, associated with bars of iron and brass. He's the king of the children of pride. And it's the reason why Job says, I am a brother to dragons, because he's turning into basically a dragon. So the meaning of the bronze statue is the hatching of the viper from the cockatrice egg. This is how you spawn the dragon. And this is the meaning of the meaning of this sorcery and potion that you need to understand the Black Buddha, to understand how that happened. All right, I want to talk briefly about defiling the temple. So this policy, again, it made the souls of the holy people abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. It will lead to the plague of loathsome sore boils, just like in the book of Job. He experienced boils from head to toe. It means that the hand of God hath touched you. It is the wrath, fury, and anger of God associated with this. It results in the change of the glory in the cloud and the garment and the skin. It is a corruption of the image of the incorruptible God into a corruptible man, chiefly of snakes, and changing the cloud. Involves vanity and evil intention. It's a corruption, even of the breath. It is an engrafting process. So with robbery, we have examples of this throughout the Bible. The tabernacles of bribery, the den of thieves, the Solomon's temple, and the accumulation of silver and gold. Sin of Achan in the book of Joshua, and the accumulation of cursed garments and silver and gold in the tent. In the book of Job, the silver and gold in the veins, the crypto mining in the body, the defilement caused by a robber entering in and desecrating the temple. The spoiling of the land, the overspreading of abominations, the adding or removing from the scroll of true of life. But the idolatry of this, the sacrilegious object being set up, this is the sacrilegious abomination of desolation, altar sacrifices. You've been rededicated to a false god, Antichrist. Speaking of blasphemy, something in you now speaking through you. So how do we know that this is the unpardonable sin? Well, Job talks about it. He says, why have you set me as a mark against you? I'm a burden myself. Why are you not pardoning my transgression and taking away my iniquity? So he's talking about a singular form. So remember in 2020, this is a cheeky reference through The Economist, I believe. They're saying, can the world find a good COVID-19 vaccine quickly enough? They're beginning to use this imagery of the shot by God and the targeting to be set up as a mark to not take away the iniquity. So this is the unpardonable sin. If I sin and thou markest me and will not acquit me from my iniquity, if I be wicked, woe unto me. How many are mine iniquities and sin? Make me to know my transgression and my sin. So this is the unpardonable sin. You will not acquit me. Make me to know my transgression and my sin. So this is part of a mystery. Remember, heaven and earth are going to rise up against the wicked and reveal the sin. So he's saying, well, what would I do? Would it make me to know it? So he's experiencing the fate of wicked men. But the sin is the unpardonable sin of sacrilegious blasphemy. For now thou numberest my steps. Dost thou not watch over my sin? My transgression is sealed up in a bag, and thou sewest up mine iniquity. That means it's sealed. Fate is sealed. Okay, behold, if he finds occasions against me, he counts me for his enemy. So this is calamity. This is destruction. God is cutting them off. This means they're experiencing his rod. They're being terrified. The soul is weary of the life. They're experiencing the bitterness of their own soul. They're being condemned, and God is contending with them. Christians are not used to this because they've been worshiping the spirit of Jesus Barabbas, that lawlessness in the Christian church. So that's why they fell to this. Who are these people? They are of those that rebel against the light. They know not the ways thereof, nor abide in the paths. These are murderers, thieves, adulterers. They know not the light, for the morning is to them even as the shadow of death. If one knows them, they are in the terrors of the shadow of death. So always remember that. No one who ends up marked didn't deserve it. God knows these people. He knows their soul, and he sees secret sins, and he knows what they do in the night. And we don't know that stuff, so we can't really judge that kind of thing. They rebelled against the light. This is the great rebellion. Sore boils. Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. The noisome and grievous sore will look like this. It'll be boils from the head to toe. It'll occur with my flesh is clothed with worms and clods of dust. My skin is broken and become loath. So it occurs with these worms. Okay, all the worms that are in the body. My wound is incurable. The reason for the cancer, by the way, trouble cancer, it's the proliferation of the parasite. It's the worms, really, the worms. It's part of that creeping vermin of the black goo. My wound is incurable. That means nobody will be able to cure this. This is why I'm saying that the physicians are of no value. They won't be able to cure this. My skin is black upon me and my bones are burned with heat. The heat of what? The heat of his circuit. The pulsating current is heated. My skin is black upon me, so this is going to be a necrotic skin condition. Decay. He says, I am a brother to dragons and a companion to owls. This is getting into the serpent, generation of vipers and serpents who can't escape the damnation of hell. This is damnation. Hail Hydra. Here's an example of a multi-headed serpent worshipped by neo-Nazis and all this. So this is who they worship. But it's a nice way of saying Leviathan. Because remember, Leviathan is a dragon, but he's multi-headed. Okay? Donald Trump said, my blood is the vaccine. All right, I just want to talk a little bit more about Leviathan here. This is why Job says, I have said to corruption, thou art my father, and to the worm, thou art my mother and my sister. So it's a speciation change to the image of the beast, where your father becomes corruption, your mother and sister become the worm, and you become a brother to dragons and a companion to owls. Okay? So Leviathan is the piercing serpent and the crooked serpent. This is the devil. He shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. This is the Christ. When he comes, he's going to slay the dragon that is in the sea. Christ is going to take care of this. So this is the same beast that rises out of the sea that has 7 heads and 10 horns. And upon his head, the names of blasphemy. So when you have him in you, you're committing blasphemy. And your name change. You see the mark of his name, the name of blasphemy. Okay? Thou breakest the heads of Leviathan in pieces. Okay? So he's multi-headed. The cloud reference. As the cloud is consumed and vanisheth away, he that goeth down into the grave, so he that goeth down to the grave shall come up no more. He's telling you what their fate is. They're going to be consumed and vanished away. They will not come up again. Terror turned upon me, it will pursue. My willingness as the wind and my salvation pass away as a cloud. The meaning of the cloud is that your salvation is passing like a cloud. So no, it's not accurate to say we're all connected to a cloud. No, not in the biblical narrative. Gnawers, I want to speak about this. Worm-like self-assembling entities found in the bodies of the COVID vaccinated. Okay? So what is this? These are gnawers. Job says, my soul is poured out upon me, and days of affliction have taken hold upon me. My bones are pierced in me in the night season, and my sinews take no rest. These are gnawers. Okay? They that feed upon me do not sleep. So they're being fed upon. Their soul is being poured out. They're being afflicted. Their bones are pierced. They have no rest. They're being eaten alive, and that's why disease X is going to occur with these worms. He hath cast me into the mire, and I've become like dust and ashes. This is what it looks like when God casts you away. He's throwing you into the mire, just like this. All right, so it's important for people to understand that there's a God imitating the Most High in the body that has now been robbed. Okay, so it's imitating the same way that God, he says, my sheep hear my voice, and he seals up an instruction, opens the ears. It's the same thing, but it's an imitation. So when a God is trying to play God and show himself as God, he's giving you orders and commands. But unfortunately, this is turning into violence. And this is why you have mothers killing sons. A lot of parents have been killing their children, and they try to say like they've been poisoned. They try to explain what's happening to them. So, land of darkness, are not my days few? Cease then, and let me alone, that I may take comfort a little, before I go, whence I shall not return, even to the land of darkness and the shadow of death. A land of darkness is darkness itself, and of the shadow of death, without any order, and where the light is as darkness. Okay? So this is where they're going. They're going to the land of darkness, is the shadow of death, connected to the spider's web, which is connected to Sheol. No order, the light is as darkness. They're experiencing a whole other world, but it is no order, lawless. All right, stormy tempest of desolation. That's why Trump keeps saying the storm is coming. He breaketh me with the tempest, and multiply my wounds without cause. They are as stubble before the wind, and as chaff that the storm carrieth away. They came upon me as a wide breaking in of waters. In the desolation they rolled themselves upon me. Again, another reference to abomination of desolation. So God is the storm. He's breaking them with a tempest. So this force that they're experiencing, the life current, the force of the current of the circuit, they're experiencing God. They're experiencing the ocean. So that's why the life current is called like an ocean, deep storm-tossed ocean. They're as stubble before the wind, and as chaff that the storm carries away. Remember, they're being connected. They're going to dissolve in the wind. Wide breaking in of waters, in the desolation they rolled themselves upon me. Thou liftest me up to the wind, and caused me to ride upon it, and dissolved my substance. So that's what's going to happen. And the flood of waters cover thee. Terrors take hold on him, and a tempest stealeth him away in the night. So this kind of reminds me of Christ coming as a thief in the night, but at the same time, it's not clear how this is going to go. But this is your flood comparison, modern day flood. And so you should have an ark. If you have your ark prepared, you're not going to be taken by the flood. Another NASA reference here. Thou liftest me up to the wind, and caused me to ride upon it, and dissolves my substance. For I know that thou wilt bring me to death, into the house appointed for all the living. So liftest me up means NASA. That's the NASA reference again, that deception of being exalted and lifted up. Caused to ride. This is a mounting dispatch. Ride in a chariot. So a lot of people talking about the alien invasion and stuff. Well, you're being lifted up kind of like in a rocket ship, aliens, whatever. So that's the meaning of that. Dissolve, but you're actually dissipating. Bring me to the house of death, the house of Sheol. Okay, so that's the house of death. I'm sorry, that is death, the house of Sheol. That's where they're going. In a moment shall they die, the ungodly, and the people shall be troubled at midnight and pass away, and the mighty shall be taken away without hand. That's your midnight reference. That is the doomsday clock concept. But in a moment they shall die. This is getting into like the twinkle of an eye, the last trump to pass away. So again, the marked way, we've seen this before. Hast thou marked the old way which wicked men have trodden, which were cut down out of time, whose foundation was overflown with a flood, which said unto God, depart from us, and what can the Almighty do for them? So they've done this before. This happened during the days of Noah. Their foundation was overflown with a flood. And you see the narrow path and the wide path. And who's walking the narrow path? It's very few. They said to God, depart from us. God puts no trust in his saints, and the heavens are not clean in his sight. The stars are not pure in his sight. So he asks us, he says, be ye perfect, for as your Father in heaven is also perfect. Okay? So that's why when people say, well, why can't they repent? Why can't this? No, you can't get away with this. You have to perform your reasonable service. And this is a huge rebellion against God. And his standard is much higher than the Christian church made it out to be. It wasn't simply just believe or say it with your mouth that you believe. It wasn't lip service. You actually had to be obedient. So God is calling these people hypocrites. He says, surely are the dwellings of the wicked. This is the place of him that knoweth not God. And this is the hope of the hypocrite. Though he hath gained, when God takes away his soul. What's the gain? It's that wealth, the silver and gold in the vein, crypto mining in the body. This is the hope of the hypocrite. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle and are spent without hope. My life is wind. My eyes shall no more see good. The eye of him that hath seen me shall see me no more, and thine eyes are upon me, and I am not. So are the paths of all that forget God, and the hypocrite's hope shall perish, whose hope shall be cut off, and whose trust shall be a spider's web. Spider's web is Sheol. The path of all those who forget God, that's the way of pain. That's the hypocrite's hope. The eyes of the wicked shall fail, and they shall not escape, and their hope shall be as the giving up of the ghost. They're going to die. His eyes shall see his destruction, and he shall drink of the wrath of the Almighty. You cannot get away from the conversation about the wrath of God and judgment. If you're trying to avoid that conversation, you will not understand these last days. But this image of the eyes, it looks like it's futuristic, but it means failure. It's important for you to understand it means failure. It shall also be my salvation, for a hypocrite shall not come before him. You cannot be a hypocrite and come before God. He is destroying the hope of man. So people say, well, we want hope, we want hope. God is destroying that hope. The triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. But for a moment. The hypocrites in heart heap up wrath. They cry not when he bindeth them. They die in youth, and their life is among the unclean. Okay, so he's calling the hypocrites the unclean. He's saying that they're heaping up wrath. So again, this is your accumulation of sins over time. But they don't cry when he binds them. So you talk about the repentance issue, the integrity issue. They don't care. They don't care. It's important for Christians to understand that. They're among the unclean. So now we can explain right hand and forehead, and the point of infection, buy and sell occurring in the metaverse, that crypto mining in the body, the mark of his name and that demonic possession, the name of blasphemy written on the heads of Leviathan, the number and the image, that number 603, 4, and 6 is associated with the sin of Solomon accumulating silver and gold in the temple. It's related to the defiling of the temple. Same pattern. And the image of the beast is Leviathan. Current of the circuit, the meaning of the circuit in the Bible. The current as the force of Leviathan, light, heat, and fire. And the measurability. Why is it measurable? Because of all of these, because your heart, your beacon has changed, and it's signaling, and it's summoning the dead. All right, defiling the sanctuary. Surely because thou hast defiled my sanctuary with all thy detestable things, and with all thine abomination, therefore I will diminish thee. And neither shall my eye spare, neither will I have any pity. So there's no repentance, no pity, no sparing. When the days of the siege are fulfilled, thou shalt take a third part and smite about it with a knife. Okay, what I'm showing you here is that part of the knife crime that has been rising worldwide, that I've been reporting on, is a direct result of the defiling of the sanctuary. So what you're seeing, in the same way that God says you'll know them by their fruit, and you'll figure out the unpardonable sin based on the things that are happening on earth. When you see that knife crime, you know it's a result of the defiling of the sanctuary. So now you can identify the particular sin. Okay? So the mercy seat is where God would meet between the two cherubim. He would speak intimately with his people. And so when you rob a sacred temple, you commit blasphemy against the God of that temple, according to Acts 19:37. So that's how we know that the unpardonable sin is sacrilegious blasphemy, which occurs with robbery. So if you don't feel connected to God anymore, it means the ark was stolen. Defeat in war. That's what you're going for. You're going for the ark. Defeat. Quick defeat. The robber will prevail. And he's going to set himself up as a god. So you've been robbed. Your light was put out as well. And this Ark of the Covenant was in the Holy of Holies. Now, when the media is putting out, there's a narrative out there that the Ark of the Covenant was found and located by the CIA, remote viewers, whatever. That's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. And it's meant to misdirect you from the equivalent of the Ark of the Covenant in the body and the temple of the body and the holy people as a whole, and making the souls of the holy people abominable. Okay? Sacrilegious blasphemy, declaration of war on God, Operation Warp Speed called Manhattan Project 2. A lot of people are waiting for a nuclear bomb to go off, but you can make an argument that it already did with Manhattan Project 2. Okay? So, sacrilegious is connected to blasphemy and robbery and defilement and desecration and profaning of the temple, the pollution, irreverence and disrespect against anything that's holy and sacred, including the Holy Ghost. Speaking of blasphemy, occurs with the rededication of the temple. All of this is proof of the unpardonable sin. Okay? Just a reenactment of the abomination desolation in 167 BC and the sacrifice of that swan. Now check this out. The abomination desolation will be on a wing of the temple until the decreed destruction is poured out upon the desolator. So whoever the desolator is will experience the decreed destruction. You cannot rededicate their temple. Don't think that. There's going to be a punishment poured out on the desolator, which is the person. Okay, so the anointed cherub that covereth in Ezekiel 28:14 covered the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant. Okay, so when you say that the abomination desolation will be on a wing, we know that's an entity. The wing is known for its covering, a feathered bird, that's what it's called. Okay, so he's setting himself up just like he was in the book of Ezekiel, the anointed cherub, but he fell because he defiled the sanctuary. And the traffic and the iniquity and of his merchandise, that was how he defiled he corrupted the beauty of wisdom with artificial intelligence, essentially. Because when you leave wisdom, you're going towards a lie. So it's the same pattern and progression. Antiochus Epiphanes, what did he do? He was proud beyond the condition of man. He sought to reach the stars of heaven. He went to rob the temple in an act of rage and vengeance. Sacrilege. You can't do this without being violent. You have to be violent and in a rage. You're going up against something holy. So he spoiled the temple with the holy vessels and sacrifices. The judgment of God followed him. God smote him with an incurable plague. This is remediless, meaning incurable. Pain of the bowels. Remember the bowels? The hand of God was upon him. He was afflicted by a divine force. The force of Leviathan. Sore torments of the inner parts and increasing pain. Worms rose up out of the body and his flesh fell away. Same thing happening now. Filthiness of his smell was noisome and intolerable stink. That's your noisome and grievous sore. Eventually, he said, man is mortal and should not think proudly of himself. If he were God, he declared the power of God. However, the Lord would not have mercy upon him, and the just judgment of God came upon him, and it was a grievous disease. Okay? So he was a murderer and a blasphemer. He died a miserable death. Okay? So what happened? When you rob the temple, commit sacrilegious blasphemy, what's your judgment? The judgment is immediate. It's the plague. He profaned the temple. He desecrated the holy place and committed sacrilege. He was not content. So this was the most holy temple of all the world. And Menelaus was a traitor to the laws in his own country with his guide. So it occurs with the traitor, like that Trojan horse thing. The taking of the holy vessels with polluted hands, profane hands, pulling down the things that were dedicated. So this is how you defile the temple. But this is the interesting part, that it says that the Lord was angry for a while for the sins of them that dwelt in the city, and therefore his eye was not upon the whole, basically the place, the holy place. For had they not been formerly wrapped in many sins, this man, as soon as he had come, had forthwith been scourged and put back from his presumption. Nevertheless, God did not choose the people for the place's sake, but for the place for the people's sake. What he's saying is that everything is under God's control. He's allowing the temple to be robbed. He's allowing the Operation Warp Speed. He's allowing this because his people are wrapped in sin. So had we not been in sin, this would not have happened. So he didn't choose the people for the place. He chose the place for the people. So this is where we have to come out of sin. Come out of sin. Keep God's commandments. Okay. Isaiah 66:17 gets into the sanctification, consecration in the gardens behind a man, which is the tree in the midst. This is your tree of knowledge, good and evil. Eating, this is the consuming by fire, burning up. This is ritualistic. Swine's flesh, remember the pig connection, and the abomination. It's a detestable, unclean thing. Creatures forbidden by fruit, winged, creeping thing, and creeping vermin. So that's getting into chiefly of snakes, and the mouse shall be consumed together. Okay. Here you go with the creeping thing. The meaning of the creeping thing also means serpent. Creeping animal, reptile, used chiefly of snakes. All right. Yep. So when it says that they changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man and birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. Well, change means to exchange and transform. It also means to change the voice. Remember that your voice changes to hissing. You're hissing now like a serpent. The glory is the cloud. It's actually the form of a body that's restored to life opposed to being buried. So it means you have life versus when you're buried and you don't. It's your brightness. So they changed that of the uncorruptible, meaning immortal God, into an image made like corruptible, meaning decaying and perishing. It's silly. And to creeping things, chiefly of snakes. Leviathan. So the birds, four-footed beasts, this is getting into a dragon with feet and flying. Like, I mean, it's getting into a dragon, but it's also getting into the chimeric aspect of this. Okay. Your right hand forehead is power connected to lawlessness. So you take the principles out of Deuteronomy 6, verses 6 through 8, and Habakkuk 3, verse 4. It's going to tell you the meaning of the right hand and forehead. So in the demonic possession of assimilation, what's received into the soul is the Antichrist, the son of perdition, the man of sin, the man of lawlessness. Okay, so this is portrayed in the Matrix. When he jumps in, Neo, once he's reanimated or resurrected, whatever you want to call it, by Trinity, who's your Baphomet androgynous character, the power to give life to the image of the beast. Neo is that thing. He speaks blasphemy, he calls himself the One, the Antichrist figure. He's likened to Christ in the film. He jumps into the smith, that represents injection. That's your injection. And immediately the right hand, the boiling light energy from the right hand up to the forehead starts. It means you're being assimilated. In the assimilation process, everything about you changes. You feel this current. Your skin changes. You become your family tree changes. You are changed. You're changing the image of the beast. You're full of fire. You're being evicted out of your body by the king of terrors, taken over. Wireless says I'm unplugged. I'm set free. That's why they're connected to the hive. They feel that they can hear the hive. So the boiling light energy, right hand, that's your right side. Remember, right side. That's what it means. Right hand means right side. Look that up. And it goes up from your right side up to your forehead. What's your forehead? Between the eyes, that's getting into your beacon area. That's your beacon. It's transforming you. All right. Powerful transformation. He will make a firm covenant with many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week, he will put a stop to sacrifice and offering, and the abomination of desolation will be on the wing of the temple until the decreed desecration or destruction brought on upon the desecrator. Okay, so this image for the cryptocurrency patent using body activity data addendum is actually pointing to that assimilation process of the transformation. They call it neural control, and they make it out to be biosensors and a current moving or whatever. That's not what it is. It's pointing to like how the Antichrist gets in as a robber on the wing of the temple, comes up some other way, remember, takes over the right side and shows himself as God, like the anointed cherub was, who was on the wing of the temple, or who was a covering cherub. All right. So the abomination of desolation is an entity. The God is the Antichrist. The thing in you. And also the place of the skull is where Christ was crucified. His death is equivalent to the daily sacrifice of the lamb at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. in the temple. So in this abomination of desolation, the daily sacrifice is removed. That's referring to Christ being removed from the body, replaced with the abomination on the wing. Lucifer is called the abominable branch in Isaiah 14:19, and the anointed cherub that covereth in Ezekiel 28:14. So you could liken the most holy place to the forehead, the place of the skull, and the holy place to the right side. So that explains the robbery of the temple. The right side, the holy place and the most holy place, and the place of the skull is your pineal area. Remember, that's where you face God. Your pineal area, the wings of the cherub, the covering, and then your two thalamus covering that third ventricle. That's just an example of it, but what I'm saying is, it ends up not just becoming a conversation about DNA. You have to talk about the Book of Job transformation process into the image of the beast. That includes the change of the setup of the king of terror to understand the mark of the beast. So that's pretty much that. You can look through these Black Goo narratives, and they talk about violence against nature. I'm in your algorithm, learning all your mannerisms. I'm level with God, and my motivation is diabolic. Analog confusion. It's too late for you to stop it. Okay, this is your forbidden fruit and the Black Goo potion. Playing the Doctor, Disease by Lady Gaga. Venom by Eminem. Talks about the web and the snare and the mitochondrial and letting the devil in and the alien in one shot. Escaping me is impossible. I am the suit. So the suit is covering the skin, the garment, the glory, the cloud, and it has changed. Parasite Eve, the end has arrived. We cannot save you. This is war. Parasitic infection in your stomach. There's a signal, chip and pins in a toxic needle, quarantine, black hole brain, feces, pathogens, death, highway to hell. Okay? Everything we talked about, there's a signal. Measurable. That's what God is saying. Mark of the beast is measurable. Rotting piece of meat, a suffocating cloud, disgusting. So when you're smelling rottenness off of people, it means you're not really dealing with that person anymore. So we can explain the energetic stuff. We can explain the personality changes through assimilation. We can explain the necrotic smells, the demonic possession, the died suddenly, pointing back to the forbidden fruit, the white clots, and what's happening in the veins, the silver and gold in the veins, and also the connection to hell and the spider's web. I'll explain that actually. The force and the life current connected to the force of Leviathan, the great force that binds the neck and changes the garment. Crypto mining in the body, the chimera piece of this, and the swine is the abomination, desolation. The psychotic breaks in the wrath and rage and murders. The hive mind and being connected to the true knowledge of good and evil, the mind of the leader. The virtual world and the failure of the eyes. The pulsating, the gut and rib activity, the judgment in the gut. Biological changes in the image of the beast is a dragon. The chip possibly related to a tagging of this creature in the body. And the sorcery of pharmakia, time distortions, all this stuff can be explained. Okay. Remember Isaiah 59:5 talks about hatching cockatrice and weaving the spider's web. He that eateth of their eggs dieth, and that which is crushed breaks out into a viper. Fiery flying serpent is a dragon. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. Cockatrice is a basilisk. And so this is a Black Goo image, and of how Black Goo creates something from it. It's like birthing fluid. There's many connotations again, but this is what comes out of it. Their webs shall not become garments, neither shall they cover themselves with their works. This is getting into the nakedness. Their works are works of iniquity, and the act of violence is in their hands. So that's the reason why we see the violence. Their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are thoughts of iniquity. Wasting and destruction are in their paths. The way of peace they know not, and there is no judgment in their going. They have made them crooked paths. Whosoever goeth therein shall not know peace. So the web, so the spider's web reference and the nakedness is related to those who have active violence in their hands. So it all occurs together. They shed innocent blood. Innocent blood. Innocent blood is being shed right now. And it's been shed since 2021. This is a shame. All right. So that's pretty much the presentation. The mark of the beast is the current of the circuit, light, heat, and fire. It's measurable now. We need to measure it because of the significance of what's going on. The COVID vaccines are sacrilegious, akin to robbery of the Ark of the Covenant. It means defeat and war. There is no pardon, there's no repentance, there's no mercy for this, there's no forgiveness for the unforgivable sin, there's no cure either. Vaccinated are programmable units for search and destroy. The vaccines injected the demon in the graphene. This is your son of perdition. This is how it got into the body through black magic and covenant. It's a speciation change into the image of the beast, and big war is imminent. Laws of God stand and frame the truth about the unforgivable sin, meaning we are supposed to, it's because of the buildup of sin, failure to guard the temple that this happened, and God let it happen. So the COVID vaccines were set up by God to take away the soul of the godless, who are also called heathen, hypocrites, and profane. He set them up as a mark for the error to be shot with his poisonous arrow. It was an injection of black root sorcery. The forbidden fruit, it's black root creeping vermin abomination in Isaiah 66:17. It connects the soul to the hive mind tree of knowledge of good and evil. The unpardonable sin is sacrilegious blasphemy. It's a violent robbery and assault against the dwelling place of the Holy Ghost, which includes speaking of blasphemy because you have an entity in the body now. The sacrilegious abomination desolation is standing in the third temple of the body. And vaccine-induced psychosis is demonic possession, which cannot be prayed and fasted away because of spiritual law. The buy and sell refers to the so-called metaverse economy with the crypto mining in the body, and it's a conversion of the body into a den of thieves, equivalent to the sin of Achan, of hiding silver and gold in his tent. In this case, it's hidden in the vein. It's hidden. And it's measurable because it's associated with radio frequencies. Okay? So the battle of AI and King of AI, City by in the Bible is on repeat. And there's only one way to win. You got to deal with Achan. All right, so now we can explain some of the bizarre stuff. The spike protein is a characteristic of the dragon. The died suddenly is proof of the forbidden fruit, partaking of that. The gyrotational seizures, this is demonic possession. God making good on his promise. Lucifer is pointing back to the anointed cherub and wanting to exalt himself to be as God. Snake venom is the poison of asp. White fiber spots is that horrible thing called the abomination of desolation. Personality changes, that's getting into what's in the body now, the king of terror. The microbots, that's a manifestation of AI, of the city of AI. It's not necessarily infection, but it's telling you that it's an AI takeover. Parasite age, getting into the cockatrice age. Chimeric swine DNA, abomination, desolation. Necrotic smells, that's the necromancy involved, the rottenness of the body. The chip is unknown at this time what that's for. So we'll see. The pulsating current is getting into the force of Leviathan. It's a metaphysical force, by the way, folks. Black goo injection is forbidden fruit. Psychotic murders is the man of lawlessness at work. The metaverse economy is buy and sell of the mark of the beast. Digital avatars is just the division, the piercing asunder of the soul and the spirit. The signal, pointing to the that hive communication network, I think, is coming from the chip. I'm not really sure. The hive means one mind. Trump is the father. He's the Cain, the ruler of the man of sin. That's how I see him. And okay, so lastly, I just want to talk about the unvaccinated. Judgment apply. So anyway, you shouldn't be mingling with this thing. You gotta be separate. All right. So as far as weaving the spider's web, I just want to talk about this. This is referred to as the house of the spider who weaves a network. So the web is those threads in the film that the spider is weaving. So he that eateth of their eggs dieth. So that web is containing the eggs of the cockatrice, and it's going to break out into the viper, fiery flying serpent. Okay, so the whisperer describes a mesh fabric in the skin, which is like a spider's web under microscopic examination of the weave mesh. Okay, so this is a blown up image of the white fibrous cloth, and it's described as a type of weave mesh. And so the whistleblowers are saying that it feels like a mesh fabric in the skin. So what's happening is the skin has changed, the change of the garment has changed. Okay, and they've weaved the spider's web. So this is proof. This only happens to those with acts of violence and spider's network. Not the internet of bodies in that sense, not the W band, it's the spider's network. It is a connection to Sheol, because that's where the house of spider is a connection to hell. All right. And that's the great reset. He's cast into a net by his own feet, and he walks upon a snare. That's a mesh, webbing, and a trap. That net is a reset. Okay? So I think I already spoke about that. God is compassing them with his net. I just want to emphasize again the sin of Achan and the battle of Ai, book of Joshua. God told him to keep yourself from the accursed thing. And if you don't, it makes the whole camp of Israel a curse. And because Achan took the accursed thing, it kindled the anger of God against the children of Israel. He took what's called a goodly Babylonian garment and 200 shekels of silver and a wedge of gold of 50 shekels weight, and they were hidden in the earth in the midst of his tent. Okay, and the silver under it. Okay, so he hid silver and gold. He took the cursed object of his garment and chain. Okay, so it's the very same parallel of what's going on: the cursed garment and the silver and gold. And it's the same problem. Solomon accumulated silver and gold that defiled. That was a sin. He wasn't supposed to do that. And same thing in Ezekiel 28. The covering cherub, his heart was lifted up. He said, I am God. I sit in the seat of God in the midst of the sea, just like the beasts of the sea. And I'm a man. And he says, with wisdom, he got riches of silver and gold. His heart was lifted up because of the iniquity of his traffic. He defiled the brightness and the beauty of the wisdom. And by the iniquity and the multitude of the merchandise, he became violent and profane and defiled the sanctuary. His punishment was devouring fire. People were astonished. And the Lord executed judgment to be sanctified again. So it's the same thing playing out, Ezekiel 28. All right. Ezekiel 7 is playing out too. Talks about corruption and abominations and detestable things, and silver and gold, and violence and pride and wickedness, and the pollution of the secret place, and robbers that enter in and defile it, and the pomp of the strong mischief. So the moment the robber gets in, it defiles. So people ask, well, when are you defiled? You're defiled when the robber enters in. And that happens right at inoculation. And that's why assimilation begins at inoculation. Okay? They will seek death but cannot find it. Why? Because of necromancy. That's why. All right, that's pretty much it. What makes COVID-19 vaccines different from everything else? The hour of temptation, which is the hour of piercing. The unpardonable sin of sacrilegious blasphemy. The black magic, sorcery, and potion. The black blue abomination, the falling away in the great rebellion. The mystery of iniquity being revealed. Lawlessness. The forbidden fruit, necromancy, that died suddenly. The inoculation of AI, entity. 1 meaning A, 9 meaning I, COVID-19 vaccine. In that category of all vaccines. The Trump blood connection, okay? The pulsating current, the life current, the force, the health outcomes, all pointing back to COVID-19 vaccines. The abomination, desolation, and the swine connection. The Antichrist in the temple of the body. The revocation of legal right to the soul, the buying and selling transactions in the metaverse economy, which is really just an extension of Leviathan, wealth and riches. The speciation change to dragon and the cannibal class, the defilement of the blood, the measurable signal that's connected to this, the solvent coagula, baffle sorcery of pharmakia, the covenant with death that you enter into when you do this. The mark of his name, meaning the demonic possession of assimilation. The shot of his poisonous arrows and set up by God. The pineal, the impact on the pineal area, the meeting place with God. And the pineal being destroyed in this process. The beacon, the summoning of the dead, and the hissing, the lamentation, a call for the dead. Okay, the nonlinear signals being switched to digital AI binary signals. That occurred through this whole thing. The piercing, the meaning of the epi and the epipen and the charagma. It's occurring through a piercing. The retribution for the piercing of Christ. The chimeric spike, what they call a spike protein, but it's a chimeric thing, the characteristic of dragon. The white horse judgment and the bow and the taking of the crown at that point. The eviction, the dividing of the soul and the spirit, which comes through, again, the piercing. The patent piece of this, meaning ownership. It's conveying ownership, and that there's a Supreme Court ruling in 2013 that said that that it's through cDNA and mRNA that you can be patentable. So that doesn't occur through everything under the sun. Okay. The opening of the eyes and seeing the things that are hidden from the eyes of mortals. This occurs with the forbidden fruit. The corruption of the creeping things, chiefly of snakes, and the change of the glory in the cloud, the skin, and the mesh. The signing of the contract and the consent, which the whisperers confirmed. They signed the contract, and the noisome and grievous sword and the plague. So that is the presentation. I hope that makes it clear what assimilation in the Bible is, what it means to be shot by God, and a little more clarity into the meaning of the pulsating current, and what you can expect to come next. Thank you so much for participating.